iFIBER.org/Community Lifeline. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Eventually, something is going to break through all the lies and all the hundreds of millions of dollars that Koch Industries and ExxonMobil and others have spent funding climate change deniers. Eventually, it's going to break through, and people are going to realize that for the last 40 years, they have been lied to by very wealthy people who are lying to us and allowing people to die just so they can protect their wealth. Not even protect their existing wealth, just so they can make more wealth.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things: dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
Roger that.
Get charged up with Mountain Dew Kickstart, now in 4 energizing new flavors like Midnight Grape. It all starts with a kick.
Well, good morning. It's 6:08. I'm Jeff Slakey on Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. We are checking sports here today. Start off down in Portland with a couple news notes for you. The Trailblazers beat the Knicks last night, 104-85. It was their 6th straight road victory. And the Portland Timbers have signed MLS super draft picks Nico Brett and goalkeeper Wade Hamilton. Seattle Mariners have finalized a $500,000 deal, 1-year contract with Cuban outfielder Guillermo Heredia. Deal includes a $400,000 signing bonus. If Heredia is optioned to the minors, his salary would be $82,000. He has not played competitive baseball since 2014 and defected from Cuba last year. Mariners start spring training today with the annual charity game against the Padres down in Peoria. Our first broadcast will be Saturday at noon against the LA Angels. Gonzaga basketball is getting ready for the WCC tournament. They play Portland Saturday night, 9:10 the pregame, 9:30 the tip. With a win, they'll move on to Monday. And a win then gets them into the finals Tuesday night. We'll follow Gonzaga as far as they go this month with both the WCC and the NCAA tournament. Watch the feature video featuring the Shelton boys swimming and diving teams, along with Washington's 3A swim coach of the year, Chad Youngquist, on iFiber1newsradio.com. Sports director Sean Wells put that together for us yesterday, and congratulations again to Coach Youngquist. It's 6:10 right now at iFiber ONE News Radio, and checking the forecast, here's Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's 46 with some light rain. We'll have showers throughout the morning, becoming more of a steady rain this afternoon. We'll reach a high of 52. We won't have near as much wind as we did yesterday. We'll have some news on that later in the show about how many power outages there were over yesterday afternoon, overnight. But right now it's 46, light rain, and it's just going to continue to rain.
Now, from the iFiber ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people, you. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
$6:11 at iFiber ONE on a Wednesday morning. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
We've got some great guests today. It's Dr. Seuss's birthday. Dr. Seuss not coming in, but Heidi Larson, the Youth Services Librarian for the Shelton Timberland Regional Library, will be in at 7:45. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen in about an hour, and we are week and a day from the scheduled end of this legislative session. So we'll see how that goes with him. And transit talk this morning. Terry Jeffries, the Mason Transit Authority Board Chair, and Danette Brannon, Finance Manager and the Acting General Manager, both be on the air with us at 8:15 to talk about the Authority Board, MTA's financial health, and what they're looking at for the year 2016. Later today and tomorrow, we'll air it. Mason County Health Officer Director Dr. Diana Yu will be coming into the studio, and we're going to interview her when we're off the air, timing purposes. And then we'll have that tomorrow, talking about Zika and the questions and concerns that we have there. 6:12 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. It was pretty darn stormy yesterday. Wow, it was super windy. I was seeing a lot of my stuff in the backyard, the chairs and stuff being flown this way and that. 66-mile-an-hour wind gust recorded near Shelton, and we'll have more information on big storm yesterday here in the South Sound.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Broncos placed their exclusive franchise tag on Super Bowl 50 MVP Von Miller. NFL Media's Albert Breer first reported the move. The exclusive franchise tag means that no other team can try to sign Miller, and he will earn no less than the average of the top 5 NFL salaries at his position. Josh Norman is staying in Carolina. The Panthers placed their franchise tag on their star cornerback, who will make $13.9 million next season, while both the organization and Norman try to work out a long-term deal. Kirk Cousins received the non-exclusive franchise tag. The designation acts as a one-year, $20 million contract for 2016. Sam Bradford won't be leaving the city of brotherly love. The quarterback agreeing to a 2-year deal with Philadelphia worth $36 million that includes roughly $26 million in guarantees. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
QL1, this is Control. Ground crew is secure. Over. Copy that, Control. Rocket's powering up. Over. QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes. Copy that, QL1. That is fast, like rocket fast. Do you think that's why they named it Rocket Mortgage? Over. Affirmative, Control. That's probably why they named it Rocket Mortgage. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Roger that, QL1. So technically speaking, you could get a Rocket Mortgage at rocket speed from inside an actual rocket? Please just press the button, Control. Over. Copy that, QL1. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
.16 at iFIBER One News Radio on a Wednesday morning. Oh my gosh. Facebook page, facebook.com/1030KMAS. Oysterfest added an event yesterday, making sure people are ready for Oysterfest 2016. Never too early to get ready for Oysterfest, I'd say. Wait, I can hear myself. There we go. So pretty cool stuff there. Also, that astronaut came back to town yesterday. Super Tuesday results were happening throughout the day. But let's go back to this big storm that we were having.
All right. Well, so it's sort of out all over Western Washington.
Sure.
More than 75,000 customers all over Western Washington. Luckily, I feel bad for the people. I'm glad that I wasn't out. Were you?
No, I didn't even see any kind of flickering at all.
There was definitely a flicker. I was over at my mom's actually in the afternoon, and there was a flicker. She lives near me. We're on different grids, though, and you're on a different grid. So there's like 3 different grids.
They all converge right around Mud Bay, Delphi Road area.
Yeah, it's sort of strange. But in Mason County, they recorded, like Jeff said earlier, 66 miles an hour wind gust.
Whoa.
So that's pretty cool. There was the first outage was early in the day, about 11:45, and that was west of Shelton. So about 2,700 people lost their electricity. And then there was a second one, and about 3,400 customers lost their electricity. And that was up at the Tahuya Peninsula. So PD did their work, and everything was back on. They were mopping up by 2 a.m. This morning. So that's pretty
good on those
crazy.
Guys. Hopefully not listening. That means they're still awake. But good on them. Congratulations.
Exactly.
Thank you for your help.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, they said it was going to be windy, but they didn't say it was going to be that, because they decreased the wind warning to a little bit lower, and then, well, the wind does not listen to
No, they didn't get the forecast.
They didn't read the
happens.
website. I don't know what's going on.
617 at iFIBER ONE Newsradio. All 4 victims living at a home northwest of Belfair shot execution style. This was part of what was brought forth during Chief Deputies Ryan Sperling's press conference yesterday.
And yeah, the sheriff spoke, Casey Salisbury spoke about it. He was sort of the main speaker on it, but Deputy Ryan Sperling was up at the situation on last Friday, so he was on the news, and our news reporter Jeff Chu was up there, and he's been involved in it, and so he has been following it, and he wrote a great news story about it. Not great, but an informative story about it. And then he also has the whole news conference on our website. So if you want to check that out, it's under the news tab under local. It's also on the very front page of our website.
618, and a good morning to you. We are Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. We're also looking at other stories from around the Northwest. Authorities have arrested a 14-year-old in connection with a sexual assault on a school bus in Kitsap County. Kitsap County Sheriff's Office said in a news release the assault reportedly happened sometime in the past month. Authorities also, another story in Snoqualmie, a police officer there suspended for 20 days without pay for having an affair with another officer's wife. Seattle Times reports Officer Nick Hogan disciplined for conduct unbecoming an officer in January after an internal investigation. We've talked a lot about marijuana in this state, and since the passage of Initiative 502, we've had the parts of the cannabis that are the mind-altering effects of cannabis. But there's a whole nother aspect to it, a hemp.
The heady effects is what they call it.
The heady, what is it?
Heady.
Yeah, so the heady effects of marijuana is what we've been dealing with now. But there's been a whole other side of the issue, which I always thought would have become more celebrated and embraced before the headiness of it all.
Well, there was, if you go back in history, the cotton lobbyists decided that they wanted to, they weren't in the hemp business, they were in the cotton business, they wanted to make money off of cotton. So
interesting.
Hemp was the first crop, really.
Sure. It lasts longer.
Yeah,
and you grows better.
Yeah, it's less on the environment, effect on the environment, and so many things. But they said, "Oh, we're doing cotton," so we became cotton people. But the legislature did pass a bill that allow licensed growers to produce industrial hemp in Washington as part of a research program. So that part, so I guess they have to do more.
Well, it's a research program, but they have to give the results in January. So it's not like this is going to be some ongoing 10-year study. They're going to know in January. I think this stuff grows fast enough to see some viability there.
I hope so.
And
Wazoo, Washington State University, is going to be being able to Get on your overalls, Jeff, and get on over to Wazoo, and you can farm some hemp.
Hey, it's not the craziest thing you've said today.
Yeah, I know.
I like it. The fact that my overalls, overalls
Overalls is
coming in today, so I can go out and do some yard.
No, you would not wear those.
Yeah, I'll wear them tomorrow to work.
You wear them on Friday.
Casual Friday.
Casual Friday.
I will. Make 622.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends, family, and coworkers talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Look for your free copy of Coffee News, available in restaurants throughout the South Sound and Mason County.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on Daybreak at 6:24. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner, Wednesday morning, 2nd of March. Before we get to any of the other local news stories happening, a reminder that construction road work begins at 7 right through town. This was on the Goldsboro Creek Bridge, and it will last until the late into the month. Drivers on South 1st Street expected to encounter daytime delays beginning at 7. So if you're getting ready to start heading out on the road, make sure you are aware that the delays begin at 7. It's alternating one-way traffic on pretty much the only way in and out of downtown Shelton over that Goldsboro Creek. Mm-hmm. Goes until 5:30 tonight. Also make mention that Empty Bowls is tonight at 5. That's
right.
It's from 5 until 7, and you don't need to be there the whole time. You can show up to the Civic Center and make your creation.
That's right.
Make your bowl, and next Wednesday, come on back and paint it. And then the final Wednesday of the situation, which is the 16th, is when you celebrate the reason for Empty Bowls, to help out Saints Pantry with some of the great soups and breads from the fooderies around here. Mm-hmm. So that's going on tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Lawmaker in Washington diagnosed with whooping cough. That's what I always thought, like, children got, but I guess it can really affect anybody. Representative Elizabeth Scott, a Republican from Monroe, is at home and resting, recovering from the infection, according to a news release, and may return to the Capitol on Friday. Whooping cough, or pertussis, is highly contagious bacterial infection, according to the DOH. So it's a severe cough, and it's usually spread by coughing or sneezing, and it can last for months.
Whoa.
So people are vaccinated for it, but it wears off over time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been following this ID thing. Washington residents may have to get new driver's licenses, or even people that go on base have to get new driver's license. Well, the Washington residents soon will no longer be able to use their standard state driver's licenses and IDs to get a visitor's pass onto JBLM. Can't get on JBLM or the Yakima Training Center As of April 1st, people who don't have an enhanced driver's license will need to show additional forms of ID, like a passport or permanent resident card. According to a news release sent out by the base on Monday, the restriction will apply to companies with employees who need unescorted access, as well as those seeking access to visit friends, family, museums, or other. So you can't even go to the museum now? Without this?
Nope. And probably if you want to, people shop on the base. I mean, they go to, there's a...
The PX? Not regular folks, but non-military, I don't think can go to the PX.
Right, but I'm guessing even if you were like the wife of a military person or a husband and Mr. Mom and you go shopping on the base, you have to have this special ID.
We have to head up to that museum before. There's that great military museum on I-5, that white building. If you're heading north, it's on the left side of the freeway. And they've got tanks and stuff. I remember going there as a kid. It's got weird hours, but if you can go in there, it's a great museum. Yeah, fun to see around.
You have a month, less than a month.
Or I have to get one of these enhanced driver's licenses.
But you're going to have to get one anyways if you're going to travel out of the country.
It's true. 627 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Westbound lanes of I-90 near Ritzville have reopened after they were closed for about 8 hours yesterday because of a homicide investigation. State Patrol and the Adams County Sheriff's Office responded to a dead body found on or near the highway around 2:30 in the morning on Tuesday. Highway was reopened shortly before 11 then. State Patrol Trooper Jeff 7G says officers initially received a call about a vehicle pedestrian crash about 20 miles west of Ritzville. Once they arrived, they found the body, and they said it was homicide.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Another sort of a crazy story. Authorities say Central Washington Sheriff's deputy fired shots at a pickup truck driver after he displayed a gun. Chelan County Sheriff Brian Burnett says the deputy approached the vehicle in Leavenworth parking lot early Tuesday, and a 66-year-old guy, Robert Fries, from Wyoming, displayed a gun and the deputy fired. It's not clear if Fries also fired. Fries reportedly then took off, leading two deputies on a pursuit on Highway 2. Troopers deployed those spike strips to puncture the truck tires near Kashmir, but the truck sort of kept going even after his tires were punctured, and then he ended up in a ditch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news. In 2 minutes on iFIBER ONE News Radio, ABC will update us on the latest in sports news. Starting on Saturday, you can head out to Mo Crocs for a little razor clam dig. That is on our recreation page on iFiberOneNewsRadio.com. Saturday, 3:53, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Shellfish Managers also extended the dig at Long Beach to run daily through March 31st. And that's great news because it was previously scheduled to be open just through the 10th of the month. But Long Beach now open daily through the end of March. Optimal digging conditions is when the low tide is a foot or lower. 6:29. When we come back this morning, one more story to pass along about technology and how a new building is causing technology to be used from the past. Kind of a weird story about an upcoming a jail that they're working on around the Tacoma area. 6:30 now. Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. PUD3 crews were busy with an outage in the morning, then more in the afternoon. The morning outage appeared to be related to a problem with power lines just south of the Bonneville Power Administration substation in the Mountain View area of Shelton. Power was restored to nearly 2,700 customers by 12:30 p.m. A larger afternoon power outage was due to a windstorm where a gust of 66 miles per hour was registered at Shelton's Sanderson Field. That outage affected about 4,700 customers. PUD crews were in the mop-up stage of restoration by 2 this morning. More details have been released about the murder-suicide in Belfair. During a press conference yesterday, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury said the 4 victims at a home northwest of Belfair were shot execution-style in a chicken coop near the home where shooter David Wayne Campbell later shot himself as law officers closed in. The 2 youths shot to death, 16-year-old Quinn Carlson and 18-year-old Tori Carlson, were both adopted from Kazakhstan. The weapon Campbell used was registered to Terry Carlson, the late husband of 49-year-old Lana Carlson, who was also fatally shot. The 4th victim was 68-year-old Donna Reed, a neighbor of Carlson's. Campbell allowed a 12-year-old girl who was living at the home to leave. She is now under the supervision of State Child Protective Services. Toby Kevin and Barb Wiesa stopped by Daybreak to talk about Community Lifeline. It started with just a few people providing dinners, and Barb shared how much the demand has grown.
2 churches serving meals in 2004 to now 16 churches and many service organizations within the community serving those meals.
The Community Meals is a collaboration of over 200 volunteers from 13 churches and many community groups who plan, cook, and serve dinners every night of the year. The community partners also provide resources to help people move towards self-sufficiency. Toby says the costs add up.
Probably current operating budgets in the range of $80,000.
Wow.
And then mention again that going back about 6 months ago, St. David's decided to sell that building and has offered it to us for sale. The thermometer, I don't know if it's current. I checked the bank balance last night and we've got about $112,000 in the bank.
Oh.
So we have at least another almost 90 to go. And we really depend upon the generosity and support of people throughout the community. We really need their help. That's the primary source we have of operating funds and capital.
Donations are being accepted online at gofundme.com/Community Lifeline. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 1033, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
We have some extreme temperatures in our part of the country. I want to tell you about a local company, Arch Mechanical, ARCH, Arch. It's an acronym for Affordable Refrigeration, Cooling, and Heating. But that's not what's important. What's important is how Tom, the problem solver, is able to help solve your heating, cooling, and refrigeration equipment or system problems. Check out archmechanical.com and find out more. archmechanical.com.
No Steph, same result. Hi, everyone. Dave Packer reporting on sports. Steph Curry tied an NBA record with 12 threes made in the Warriors' last game against Oklahoma City, but an ankle injury kept him out of Tuesday's game against Atlanta. Enter Draymond Green with some overtime heroics.
Clay, right side, drives on Horford. Bazemore helps out. Lob inside, Bogut off his fingertips, saved it to the wing. Draymond catches, shoots with a buzzer, going, and he hit it! He hit it! He turned and shot it in one motion, knocked it down right in front of the Golden State bench. Are you kidding me?
On KNBR, as Golden State survives with the 109-105 win in overtime. The Warriors also without Andre Iguodala in this game as well. Klay Thompson had 29 points. In baseball, Yankees reliever Aroldis Chapman will not appeal his 30-game suspension stemming from an alleged domestic incident with his girlfriend. On a busy night in college basketball, the third time was the charm for Oklahoma.
Hield, 3, short. And a long rebound tracked down by Latin. Woodard finds Hield again. And again he misses. Cousins was open. That too is good.
On ESPN, as the third-ranked Sooners hung on to beat number 19 Baylor 73-71. Meanwhile, Yogi Ferrell provided some much-needed breathing room for number 12 Indiana.
Bryant is trying to post. It's Yogi. It's 3. Got the ball! Yogi with a big 3. And the lead is 5.
Also on ESPN, as the Hoosiers got past number 16 Iowa 81-78. Back to the pros we go, where Damian Lillard continues to be a man on a mission.
Lillard against Fredette. Dribbles right, comes back left. Now 10 to shoot. Lillard squares up, leans back with a three-pointer right through. Welcome to the game, Jimmer Fredette.
On KPOJ, as the Blazers cruise past the Knicks 104-85. Lillard now has hit the 30-point mark in 3 straight games and in 8 of his last 9. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Get Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, here's Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throwdown dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
6:36 and a good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on Daybreak. iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Portland Trailblazers beat the Knicks last night, 6 straight road victory, and the Timbers have signed MLS Super Draft picks Nico Brett and goalkeeper Wade Hamilton. Seattle Mariners finalized about a $500,000 deal, 1-year contract. Cuban outfielder Guillermo Heredia. Deal includes a $400,000 signing bonus. If he's optioned to the minors, though, salary would be $82,700. Not played competitive baseball since 14, defected from Cuba last year. Mariners start spring training today with the annual charity game against the Padres at the Peoria Sports Complex. Our first broadcast will be Saturday at noon against the LA Angels. Gonzaga basketball getting ready for the WCC tournament. They play Portland Saturday night, 9:10 the pregame, 9:30 the tip-off. With a win, they'll move on to Monday, and a win then gets them into the finals Tuesday night. We'll follow Gonzaga as far as they go this month, both in the WCC and the NCAA tournament. Would like you to watch the feature video on Shelton boys swimming and diving, along with Washington's 3A Swim Coach of the Year, Chad Youngquist. Sports Director Sean Wells put together that package for us on iFIBER1newsradio.com, and you see it right there on the sports page. It's 6:38 now at iFIBER One News Radio, and good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey, and taking a look at the South Sound's forecast, here's Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's 46 with some light rain. We'll have showers on and off this morning. It'll become more of a steady rain this afternoon. We're going to reach a high of 52. It's going to rain early, and then overnight it's just going to be mainly cloudy, but then it's going to be just starting to rain again and continue to rain for the next few days. Our temps are going to stay in the mid 50s, which is better than really super cold rain.
I mean, that's true.
So that's one consolation for all our rain, but it keeps our northwest forest green, and it's 46 right now.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
.39. Good morning. It is a Wednesday, the second day of March, and excited to have Mariners baseball on the air for us this weekend. Kind of a double duty for sports on Saturday. We got the Mariners at noon, and then 9 o'clock at night we'll have Gonzaga basketball, as I was just mentioning in the sports report. We encourage you to follow along with us on the Twitter and the Facebook. Twitter at iFIBER One Radio, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/1030 KMAS. KMAS are call letters, from the FCC. We're iFIBER One News Radio, but in the eyes of the Federal Communication Commission, still says KMAS Shelton, to be sure. 6:40 now, and some of the news stories from around the Northwest. Big storms going on. Many folks, near 100,000 people in the state, were without power throughout the day yesterday and early into this morning, thanks to the hard work put in by the PUD3 crews, especially the folks that are out there on the front lines trying to get this thing going. Back power for everybody. So thank you to them. Looks like they got things kind of wrapped up about 2 o'clock this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So
crazy.
It's a lot.
Those guys do amazing work. They are out there when everybody else needs to be cuddled and under wraps.
Cuddled and huddled, to be sure,
Yeah.
out on those
Under wraps.
cherry pickers and things like that. 6:41 at iFIBER One News Radio. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury put on a press conference yesterday. It was about a half an hour long, answering questions about the incident that occurred near Belfair on Friday. We've got the full video and write-up by Jeff Chu on iFIBER1newsradio.com. You can follow along with all the information that we have, and it's all up-to-date information right out of the sheriff's mouth yesterday.
Yep. You can check out the story on the local news.
6:42 here, and the Country Life will live the Country Life in a few moments, and Drew McEwen will be by at 7:15 talking about things that are happening with the legislature. We had 35th District Representative Dan Griffey on yesterday, State Senator Tim Sheldon on Monday. You can find those interviews on the website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. They are talking about the end of the session, which is coming up on the 10th, or is it? We'll find out what people are thinking.
They want it to be, but they're not too positive that it's going to be.
They're hopeful, cautiously optimistic. Yesterday, we had great wall-to-wall coverage of Super Tuesday on iFIBER One News Radio with Salem Radio Network's Hugh Hewitt coming on the air at 6 last night and talking about all the wins from Super Tuesday, which was yesterday. Looks like Trump came out ahead.
Yep.
With 203 delegates that they're saying now. There are some that are still have to be counted, but he won quite a fair number of those states.
Rubio really dropped down.
Only winning Minnesota yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Carson is still in there.
What else is he going to do? He's got nothing going on. Kasich waiting until Ohio. And, Trump and Cruz both said, listen, if nobody wins Wednesday morning, they should drop out. Well, now Rubio does win.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
This love letter's for my sweet beauty. Your scent drives me all sorts of cray. Every time you touch my lips, ooh, how it makes my day. Rich, smooth, fresh, and steamy. Dang, you're a dream. So let me give you some sugar, and then perhaps some cream. There's no denying your love for a rich, smooth, fresh brewed McCafe. And now, get any size for just $1. A la carte only. Prices and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Say, what's for lunch? Breakfast. No, what's for lunch? Oh, yeah, breakfast. Breakfast for lunch? Yep. Then what's for dinner? Breakfast is. I thought you said breakfast was for lunch. I totally did. But now you're saying breakfast is for dinner. Oh, yeah. So, wait, is lunch for breakfast?
No, breakfast is for breakfast. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, which includes the Egg McMuffin, hot cakes, and hash browns, anytime is delicious breakfast time.
Man, I'm heading to McDonald's. Have a good afternoon.
Don't you mean good morning?
I do now.
McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location.
Being a good steward of the forest on your land starts with solid planning. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Develop a detailed management plan that is tailored for your goals now and into the future as you're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
He's done 3 tours, and now he's saving his dad's farm. Do you know a farmer veteran like that? We're inviting you to share their story. Successful Farming Magazine and Grasshopper Mowers are teaming up to acknowledge and thank farmer veterans for their service. This new initiative is called From Fighter to Farmer. Enter any veteran farmers you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter to farmer. Explain the veterans' military experience and farming operation, along with the involvement they have in your community. 3 veterans will receive a combination prize package of $5,000 and a vacation to Nashville. One lucky winner will also receive a $10,000 gift certificate to spend at Grasshopper Mowers. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the 40 contiguous United States and D.C. 13 years and older. Begins February 1st, 2016 and ends April 30th, 2016. Subject to official rules at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer rules. Void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Sponsor, Meredith Corporation. From Fighter to Farmer is brought to you by Grasshopper Mowers. Enter any veteran farmer you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer.
People own forested land for many reasons, including income from the wood, recreational purposes, and aesthetics. You can't afford to ignore the value of this asset, so a well-prepared forest management plan will help you meet your goals now and into the future. Earl Garber is the president of the National Association of Conservation Districts. He says to start your plan by conferring with local conservation and forestry professionals for their assessment and technical assistance. The management practices you develop will depend on your objectives as well as the age and condition of the stand.
Is the stand ready for a thinning? Is the stand mature, or is it at the stage where you go in and remove a percentage of the trees? One of the other things you have to look at is what's the invasive species condition of your forest. Are there some species of trees that you need to remove that are competing with the one that you'd like to harvest for income in the future?
Garber says a good management plan includes both short-term and long-term goals.
When you're talking about a pine forest, you may be talking about a 30 to 35-year plan before the trees are mature. You do a clean cut and start over. When you get to hardwood, depending where you're located, it could be anywhere from 50 to 100-year plan to manage that hardwood with incremental harvesting and control of species that you don't want. So if there's any part of the natural resources long-term planning, it's forestry.
Your plan doesn't have to be a long, complicated document, but it should be considered work in progress. Create a timeline of specific tasks and revisit your plan every 5 years or so. Having your knowledge and intentions written out makes it easier to pass on to the next generation. Learn more about starting a forest management plan at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
.47 on a Wednesday morning, and good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner along with us. Oh man, that picture brings back memories. Holy cazzoles. ThurstonTalk.com has a story this morning about Olympia Junior programs. I remember going to Olympia Junior programs, and you go down to the performing arts there, and you go and you watch plays as a kid. Did you ever do that?
Yep, we did it. We watched movies and plays.
Movies?
Yeah, I saw Pippi Longstocke.
Whoa.
That was a junior program. We went to the theater and watched her. I'm pretty sure that was the deal. We got on the bus, went downtown Olympia, and we saw Pippi Longstocke.
Huh.
Pippi Longstocking. That was the first time I ever saw her. But yeah, we did watch little plays too, and I do. There's a picture on here which is very old. Obviously, we didn't see this one. Oh, that's 1994. Interesting.
I remember people dressing up like, I don't know, what are they dressed up like? Little gnomes or something like that.
With pointy hats, and they have
their
little
trumpets. Junior
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
Well, that started way back in 1946.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Very cool. Looking at our community calendar on iFIBER1newsradio.com, Empty Bowls starts tonight for the next 3 Wednesdays. It's at the Shelton Civic Center from 5 until 7. Tonight is the night where you'll create your bowls. Next week we'll paint, and on Wednesday the 16th we'll all join back again and make our donations to Saints Pantry, pick up our finished bowls, and have some delicious soups and breads from local eateries around the area. So we thank them for donating that stuff. And it's a lot of fun, and it's not a 2-hour commitment. It can be up to a 2-hour commitment. We're going to come on out as we have over the years tonight, and Kaiser and Stephanie and I think similar to what we did last time, we made like a little platter with his handprint. Mm-hmm. And that was about as much as he was ready to handle. He's a little older now.
Yep, he's a year older.
See if he can
He'll have his
maintain
footprint.
a little bit better. So one of us is going to do that. One of us is probably going to make a bowl, but it's a lot of fun. Get your hands dirty, get your mind off things for a couple hours. Throughout the rest of the weekend, there's bingo tomorrow at Shelton Elks, and then we've got more going on our community calendar at iFiber1newsradio.com, just under the local tab. 6:51 at iFiber One News Radio, and we've talked about under the recreation page that you can head out to Mocrox this weekend. Going to be good times out there. It'll probably be wet though, no? With the
Yes, it will be wet.
Is that better? Because can they hear you walking up on them before you stick your hands in the hole?
I don't know if they have ears or if it's vibration. We need a clam expert to come on
Would the
show.
rain be a distraction? Like they would hear so much of the rain that they wouldn't realize it?
I don't think so. But, we
From
do.
the
We need a
iFiber
clam
One News
expert.
Radio studio.
If you are a clam expert, we need to have somebody come on and
I
tell
don't know
us.
how. Yeah, sure. Why not?
A
462-1041. You got time in the next 10 minutes to give me a call, and we could talk about this thing. You're heading out to Mocrox maybe, or Long Beach. It's just fascinating to me. I have never done it.
I've done it, but I wouldn't say I was an expert. I didn't grow up doing it like some people grew up doing it.
Time for the Old Farmer's Almanac here, March 2nd. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
The rings of Saturn, Jupiter at its brightest, and a lunar eclipse. They're all on display in the March sky. Details on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Wednesday, March 2nd, the 62nd day of the year. Rock vocalist John Bon Jovi has a birthday, and the premiere of the movie King Kong was on this night in 1933. The first week of March provides ample sights for stargazers. You'll find Saturn hovering to the right of the moon in the early morning hours. With its rings angled wide open, it's a glorious sight when viewed with decent magnification. Evening stargazers can't miss Jupiter. Rising just after sunset, the giant planet is at its biggest and brightest of the year as it approaches opposition on the 8th. And later this month, there's a partial lunar eclipse. The full warm moon will be dimmed by the Earth's shadow on the 23rd. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Find more stargazing advice at almanac.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio, KMAS.
The things people post.
The second post on Reddit this morning is this iguana that's going crazy after it finds another iguana that's stuffed. Soon, Carol, for those who watch the show on iFiber One News Radio via our YouTube channel, you'll be able to. We're getting some new equipment in.
Yes,
adding some cameras and stuff, so we'll
Maybe
be able
we
to
won't be
change
so
the
yellow and
background.
green.
Who knows? And then we'll have the ability to play web videos that we find amusing.
And
or
you
not,
can see them too.
and then you'll be able to watch us giggle as well. There's a story about radios in Tacoma, which we'll get to in a second, but it is kind of leads into e-waste, e-cycle, and this program that you can take your monitors and stuff to official drop locations.
Right, it's a recycling program that keeps lead and other toxics out of the landfills. So it's been 7 years since Washington's electronic recycling program, eCycle Washington, started, and they just passed a major milestone in February, 300 million pounds of TVs, computers, and monitors. So that's pretty amazing. You know, they're just keeping all this stuff out of the waste of the landfill. Washingtonians really took to the cycle. The eCycle program manager, Miles Kuntz, said recycling electronics makes sense because we can prevent waste and keep toxics out of the environment. So all this stuff's going in, and then what they can recycle, they do, and they give new life, and they're donated through reuse organizations like Goodwill, Interconnection, Salvation Army, and others. So that's pretty cool. They say, though, that the amount is going to go down because we don't have those big, huge TVs anymore or radios anymore.
That's good, right? Isn't that where all the bad stuff was in the tubes and the mercury and stuff? Do these new fangled flat monitors that we've got, are they as bad?
I don't know. I don't know what's in them that would be better or worse, but just the whole weight is gonna, just because we're not recycling 300 million pounds anymore, then it doesn't mean that we're not recycling. It's just that the amount is going to go way down. So that's really great.
Do you think we'll be at a time ever where we're not going to, the stuff we use won't have to be thrown away?
Sort of like or rebuilds itself like an organic kind of thing?
Maybe that it fixes itself, or I'm just saying like the monitor that we know now. I've seen monitors that are foldy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, foldable, like you can fold them up and it still works. And I'm just wondering, because then that would be even thinner. That's even less of a footprint.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, as we go into the future...
Is it all just going to go into our brains?
Well, we'll just wear the glasses and then we'll get chips. And somebody was telling us about somebody has to put a chip into their hand so they can open the door.
Yeah. So you guys know your key fob things that open your doors at your special buildings. Well, there was a story about a guy who put a key fob into his thumb.
Yeah.
I heard another story about a guy who had a fake thumb or something, and he put a USB hard drive on it. His thumb. Come on.
Well, sometimes don't you want to just walk up to your door and go, beep, beep?
No.
Just
although I did the other day take Kaiser into the store, and it was one of those automatic doors, and I did put my hand, wave my hand in front of it and go, whoosh. And it opened, and the people behind me were just looking. What's going on with the Tacoma jail?
Well, the Tacoma jail has an old section and a newer section. And for a cost-saving effort, they decided to get a new radio system for the whole jail to unify communications among all South Sound agencies.
Sure.
So inside the jail, the new radios cannot connect to that old area. So they have to use old Motorola's. They got new Motorola's, and then they have to use some old type of radios because they can't connect. So that's sort of that's going to be a conundrum for some places, I imagine. They didn't think about that part.
Yeah, so it's hard to get through the walls and the steel and the bullet glass and things like that. Whoa, that's a safety concern too.
Cup and string.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks open lower on sliding oil prices. The Dow's down 41 points, the Nasdaq lower by 5. Former Chesapeake Energy CEO Aubrey McClendon has been indicted on federal charges of conspiring to rig bids for oil and natural gas leases. The Justice Department alleges McClendon orchestrated deals between two companies not to bid against one another for purchases of some leases in Oklahoma. ExxonMobil says it plans to cut capital expenditures to $23 billion. That's down 25% from last year. The cuts will come primarily from oil and gas production. Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas cut short another cruise. The ship returned to Bayonne, New Jersey this morning to avoid running into rough seas and strong winds. A number of passengers were also reported to be suffering from norovirus. This is the same ship that was battered by a major storm last month.
O'Reilly. Restore your vehicle's lost power by cleaning your entire fuel system with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Right now, buy one bottle, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Keep your engine clean and improve performance with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ace is a place with the helpful hardware.
My new house is between two lawns that should be on the cover of Lawns Illustrated. I need my lawn to fit in.
I told Sam that during Scott's Days at Ace, he can get the products he needs for a great lawn, like grass seed, fertilizer, and weed killer.
Ace is a place that gives you a magazine cover worthy lawn. All the Lawns Illustrated is completely made up.
It's Scott's Days at Ace. Stock up and get up to $130 in instant savings on Scott's Miracle-Gro brands, including Ortho and Roundup. Ace Rewards members get savings instantly in store. Offer valid March 2nd through 7th. Store stock only. See participating stores for details.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 1033 KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Donald Trump is calling for party unity after winning 7 Super Tuesday primaries.
I'm going to get along great with Congress, okay? Paul Ryan, I don't know him well, but I'm sure I'm going to get along great with him. And if I don't, he's going to have to pay a big price, okay?
But Ted Cruz, who won 3 contests, says he's the Republican Party's best hope.
Let's come together. Let's unite behind the only campaign that has beaten Donald not once, not twice, but now 3 times across the country.
Hillary Clinton called it a Super Tuesday for her after winning the lion's share of Democratic primaries. ABC's Cecilia Vega has a look ahead.
7 wins for Hillary Clinton, 4 for Sanders. Hillary Clinton crushing Bernie Sanders in southern states. That was, of course, fueled by her support among minority voters and women. And now she is looking ahead at what comes next. Her Super Tuesday victory party held in Florida, one of the next big states she is hoping to win, and she has her sights set on Donald Trump.
Classes have resumed at a Southwest Ohio high school for the first time since Monday's cafeteria shooting. 2 kids were wounded and the rest terrified. The 14-year-old suspect is being tried as a juvenile. Another student is being hailed as a hero for pushing friends to the ground when the gunfire erupted. The motive remains unclear. Astronaut Scott Kelly smiled as he was pulled out of a Soyuz capsule upon arriving home to Earth after nearly a year in space. ABC's David Curley has more.
The Russian Soyuz capsule touches down.
Scott Kelly back on Mother Earth.
American record holder Commander Scott Kelly is lifted out of the capsule by the straps on the back of his suit because of all that time in space. As he's carried to a chair, pumping his fist, 2 thumbs up, and a peace sign. He reportedly asked why everyone is bundled up, saying the air feels good. The first time he's felt Earth's air for 340 days.
Whole Foods is recalling some of its Maytag raw milk blue cheese because of possible listeria contamination. FDA officials say no illnesses have been confirmed. This is ABC News.
QL1, does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Negative control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes. That is fast, like rocket fast. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Over. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 3030.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Friday's first endless apps of 2016 begins now.
Kitchen, we are a go.
That's right. America's favorite guilty pleasure is back. And $10 still gets you endless rounds of your favorite app. Like mozzarella sticks, loaded potato skins, or 8 styles of wings. We're talking endless rounds of the best appetizers on Earth.
More endless apps for mankind.
Endless apps are back at Fridays.
Such an app.
High prices for cancer medicines aren't the only reason they cost patients and insurance companies so much. ABC's Richard Davies takes a look at another factor.
Waste is a major factor in the high price of cancer medicine. A new study finds drugs are being distributed in vials that usually have more medicine than most patients need. The excess is usually thrown out, even though it's perfectly good. Researchers at New York's Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center estimate wasted cancer medicine in the U.S. this year will add up to nearly $3 billion. One researcher saying some of these drugs cost $15,000 or more per dose. Richard Davies, ABC News.
Boston's decision to shorten the route of its annual St. Patrick's Day parade isn't going over well with organizers. Mayor Marty Walsh says the decision was made after consulting with the police commissioner, who called it a matter of public safety. The route was cut in half last year because record-breaking snow made some streets impassable. Some fear spectators will be packed in too tightly. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. PUD3 crews were busy with an outage in the morning, then more in the afternoon. The morning outage appeared to be related to a problem with power lines just south of the Bonneville Power Administration substation in the Mountain View area of Shelton. Power was restored to nearly 2,700 customers by 12:30 p.m. A larger afternoon power outage was due to a windstorm where a gust of 66 miles per hour was registered at Shelton's Sanderson Field. That outage affected about 4,700 customers. PUD crews were in the mop-up stage of restoration by 2 this morning. More details have been released about the murder-suicide in Belfair. During a press conference yesterday, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury said the 4 victims at a home northwest of Belfair were shot execution-style in a chicken coop near the home where shooter David Wayne Campbell later shot himself as law officers closed in. The 2 youths shot to death, 16-year-old Quinn Carlson and 18-year-old Tori Carlson, were both adopted from Kazakhstan. The weapon Campbell used was registered to Terry Carlson, the late husband of 49-year-old Lana Carlson, who was also fatally shot. The 4th victim was 68-year-old Donna Reed, a neighbor of Carlson's. Campbell allowed a 12-year-old girl who was living at the home to leave. She is now under the supervision of State Child Protective Services. Toby Kevin and Barb Wiesa stopped by Daybreak to talk about Community Lifeline. It started with just a few people providing dinners, and Barb shared how much the demand has grown.
2 churches serving meals in 2004 to now 16 churches and many service organizations within the community serving those meals.
The Community Meals is a collaboration of over 200 volunteers from 13 churches and many community groups who plan, cook, and serve dinners every night of the year. The community partners also provide resources to help people move towards self-sufficiency. Toby says the costs add up.
Probably current operating budgets in the range of $80,000.
Wow.
And then mention again that going back about 6 months ago, St. David's decided to sell that building and has offered it to us for sale. The thermometer, I don't know if it's current. I checked the bank balance last night and we've got about $112,000 in the bank.
Oh.
So we have at least another almost 90 to go. And we really depend upon the generosity and support of people throughout the community. We really need their help. That's the primary source we have of operating funds and capital.
Donations are being accepted online at gofundme.com/Community Lifeline. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
Patrick in Texas says, my wife thinks we should have an emergency credit card. How can I explain to her that this is a terrible idea? Well, the last time on earth that you need to go into debt at 18% interest would be at a time when your family has an emergency. What you need is money. If you had $20,000 set aside for an emergency fund, you wouldn't need an emergency credit card, right?
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio. Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Hey, just a little note to say thank you for the outstanding work that you, Dennis, and especially Jorge and the crew performed for us on our roofing project. On a scale of 1 to 10, we rate it at 10.5. It was a fantastic feeling from start to finish. Your company is a first-class operation and will definitely give your name to all of our friends and family if they're in need of your services.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730. 7:08 on iFIBER One News Radio, Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Good morning to you. 7:08. I'm Jeff Slakey. We'll have Drew McEwen on the phone or on the air with us in just a couple of moments. Seattle Mariners finalizing about a $500,000 one-year contract with Cuban outfielder Guillermo Heredia. Deal includes a $400,000 signing bonus. If Heredia is optioned to the minors, though, salary $82,700. Not played competitively since 2014, defected to Cuba last year. Mariners start spring training today with the annual charity game. Our first broadcast will be Saturday at noon against the LA Angels. Gonzaga basketball is getting ready for the WCC tournament. They play Portland Saturday night, 9:10 pregame, 9:30 tip. With a win, they'll move on to Monday. A win on Monday gets them into the finals on Tuesday. We'll follow Gonzaga as far as they go this month in both the WCC tournament and the NCAA tournament. Watch the feature video of the Shelton boys swimming and diving teams, along with Washington's 3A Swim Coach of the Year, Chad Youngquist, on iFIBER1newsradio.com. Sean Wells puts together a great feature package talking with Coach Youngquist and highlighting some of the swimming and diving accomplishments over the year. 7:10 now, and the South Sounds forecast comes our way by Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's 45 with some light rain. We will have rain throughout the day. Rainfall will probably be about 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to have rain all night long as well. Right now it's 45. We'll reach a high of 52. Tomorrow we'll have cloudy with some showers and possibly some thunder. Right now it's 45.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:11 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. Some major storms happening during the overnight last night, and actually throughout the day. I noticed that it was pretty windy and rainy at times, and when we get the rain and the wind, the likelihood of the power to go out increases exponentially. We had some big outages yesterday.
We did in Shelton or Mason County area. Nearly 4,700 people, PUD 3 customers, lost power in the windstorm.
Wow.
So the Tahuya Peninsula had a little over the 3,000 mark of people that were out. And then there was earlier near the Mountain View area of Shelton. So they were wrapping it up about 2 a.m. this morning. PUD number 3 was.
Overall, about 75,000 customers around Western Washington were without power, and flights also grounded briefly at SeaTac due to the blustery, rainy weather. The National Weather Service in Seattle issued some wind advisories. We'd heard about them, and the gusts, they were saying 60 miles an hour. And as we just mentioned, it was pretty darn windy.
It was. When you hear things banging around on your roof, you're like,
what was that? Yikes. 7:12 at iFIBER One News Radio, and 35th District Representative Drew McEwen will be on the air with us at 7:15. 7:45 this morning, Heidi Larson, who's the Youth Services Librarian at the William G. Reed Library here in town, the Shelton Library. It's Dr. Seuss's birthday. And
I am.
Sam, I am. I will not eat green eggs and ham, and The Cat in the Hat, and all those great books. Dr. Seuss really helps kids learn the love to read and things like that. So we're going to talk to Heidi, who's the Youth Services Librarian, about what the library's doing for Dr. Seuss's birthday and some of the benefits, for kids reading.
Huge benefits.
So you're pro reading.
I am very pro reading.
Right, we'll find out more from Heidi at 7:45. But Drew McEwen is coming up next here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
The pros and cons of filing for an extension. I'm ABC's Richard Davies with today's tax tip. If you don't have time to file your taxes by the April 15th deadline, accountant Janice Heyman says you can file for an extension.
The pros would be it gives you more time. If you're rushed during the winter tax season, it gives you more time to either put your paperwork in order. It gives you more time to make a retirement contribution if you are self-employed.
Tom Wheelwright, CEO and founder of the CPA firm Provision.
You have a lower chance of being audited if you file an extension.
But there could be a downside.
The con would be only if you think you owe money. An extension does not extend the time to pay. So my recommendation is always let's do our best guesstimate and pay something with the extension by April 15th.
With Form 4868, you have 6 more months to file your return. If you're owed a refund by the IRS, the sooner you file, the sooner you'll get your money. With today's tax tip, I'm Richard Davies, ABC News.
Wittenberg CPA is a professional accounting, tax, and financial consulting firm serving the diverse needs of their businesses and individual clients. They bring excellence and integrity to every aspect of their work, from accounting software support like QuickBooks to tax preparation for individual and business needs, as well as personal, financial, and estate planning services. Wittenberg CPA has the services you or your business needs this year for taxes. Find them online at wittenbergcpa.com or call 426-0230. That's 426-0230.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is Daybreak here on iFIBER One News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner, and on the phone line this morning, 35th District Representative Drew McEwen. Morning, Drew.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Did you stay up? Did you stay up to find out the Alaska results last night for Super Tuesday? You got to start pretty early in the morning in the legislature.
No, I did not stay up for Alaska. I let my phone tell me in the morning.
That's exactly how I did it as well. Pretty exciting stuff. We are in the middle of an election season. We've been talking this week with State Senator Tim Sheldon, also your counterpart, Dan Griffey, and some of the topics were a week from tomorrow. We're supposed to wrap this session up, and do you think that's going to happen?
Well, now everybody gets all nervous. I think we've got a good shot at it. There's a possibility that it's not done, and so the two budgets, the House budget and the Senate budget, and keep in mind these are the supplemental budgets. So all of these budgets are supposed to do are make adjustments to the existing budget based on revenue forecasts and caseload work of agencies, and you make adjustments based on that. And so, having said that, one of the big points of contention that we have right now is the House Democrat budget has embarked on more policy changes, which has changed their budget to the tune of over $400 million, whereas the Senate budget has done a more traditional supplemental budget where it's made the adjustments. And so we're $400 million apart, which to you and I is a truckload of money in the legislature out of $38 billion. It's a workable figure.
I was going to say,
wow.
But the major part is that policy component of it, and so where we're at right now, both the Senate and the House are on the floor every day now until the end. And so what also plays into this is because we're passing the other chamber's bills, and so there's a little give and take here, and making sure that some of the key bills that are important to the Senate we pass in the House to help the budget negotiations along, and vice versa for the Senate passing House bills. So we're in this. The last week is always it can often be a lot of sitting around with nothing, and then a flurry of activity, and it's an interesting time. It can be frustrating, but I think we're close. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, I think it's disingenuous for the House to have passed a budget that's not balanced. It relies on an assumption of tax increases, which the House Democrat leadership has not scheduled any tax bill for any hearing or any vote. It's just but yet they make an assumption that there'll be tax increases when they pass the budget. And I don't think that that's the right thing to do, but it's their posturing and their negotiating tactic that they use. And so, somewhere at the end of the day, we're going to end up somewhere in the middle of these two budgets. I don't think I'm 98% confident there won't be any tax increases. No one has the appetite to do that right now. So. And then, of course, the other factor in all of this is it is an election year, and everybody in the House and all the statewide offices and a third of the Senate are up for election. And what plays into all of that is that when we're in session, you can't do any kind of campaign activity, including fundraising. Mm-hmm. And so that's I think if we go into overtime, I think that hurts the governor, frankly, more than it does some others. So there's a lot of pressure and also a lot of desire just to get this thing done in time, but it needs to be done right, and I'm confident we'll get there. And if I don't even want to say this, but, if we don't have it done by next week, Thursday, I don't see something where we're going months and months. It might take another week after that if we were not to be able to get this done by then. But at this juncture, as the world sits today, I feel good that we're going to be able to.
Well, that's optimistic, and we're hopeful for that for sure. When I look at what you're talking about here, the House Democrat budget with the $400 million, and if they're not proposing tax increases, is this where we're hearing about getting into what is called the rainy day fund?
Yeah, so that's part of it. So the in the budget stabilization account, and again, financially, even though we have these drawn out budget issues, what seems to be almost every budget cycle as of late, Washington State, by and large, we are pretty fiscally sound, and we set aside extraordinary revenue into a rainy day fund, the budget stabilization account, and those funds are there for when an emergency happens or we have a serious economic collapse, that we've still got the resources to maintain the essential services of government. And what some of the policy components in this are is that on the House Democrat proposal, they're going into that fund for what most of us consider not to be a rainy day emergency. And whereas the Senate does not go into that budget stabilization account, it's also note that in order to tap those funds, it requires a 3/5 vote, so it's not a simple majority. And so it's an interesting component to that as well, because you need to have pretty broad support in order to tap those funds, and there's not 3/5 support in either chamber right now for that. So that's a point of contention there as well, and we'll see how this plays out over the coming week.
Is there anything that the bills you're hearing on the floor from the Senate that are you're about to vote on them or not, that are non-starters? You're going to vote no on these, or you're going to vote yes on these that are coming up?
Well, so being a Republican in the House, which means I'm in the minority, and the Senate, the Republicans control the Senate. I enjoy voting on Senate bills typically, and the Senate is faced with the opposite dilemma.
Sure.
And that's not for every bill, but generally speaking,
yeah,
they're more in tune. The Senate bills are more in tune with the House minority, and the Senate faces the opposite dilemma. So. No, and I've got a bill over in the Senate that cleared through Ways and Means. I'm working on getting that pulled out of rules to a Senate floor vote. That's the victim rights bill. And,
oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm confident that's had strong bipartisan support all the way through, and I'm confident we'll have that brought to a vote here in the coming days. So, the other big component in all of this is, we did pass the supplemental transportation budget a few days ago, so that box is checked.
Good.
The other part that plays into the overall budget is the supplemental capital budget, which is our infrastructure. We build new things out of that budget, and how that plays into the operating budget is that it affects because the operating budget has basically make the mortgage payment for the capital budget, and so depending on what happens. We're close to having that capital budget done, but that one's kind of being held hostage in this process, and the two kind of just come together at the end. So I thought we were going to get that voted out yesterday. It did not happen, but we're getting close. So
well, good. I'm glad to hear it, and it sounds. I like where you're coming from on this. That things look like it should be good to go, and if not, it's not going to be extra super duper special session. So, yeah, I guess
I don't think so. We'll see next week. I'll certainly have a better idea next week Wednesday.
You sure will, with just one day to go.
Yes. The other thing that's playing out, I just want to bring up real quick.
Yeah.
We've got submarine being christened this weekend. The USS Washington. It's the first naval vessel to be named after our state since World War II, and I'm supposed to be at that, but if we got floor votes, I won't be able to make it. But that's being christened this weekend, and I think it's something that the state should be real proud of.
Oh yeah, where's that going to be at?
It's in Virginia.
Okay.
Yep, and then it'll be commissioned towards the end of the year, and place in the service and everything. So an exciting time. And I'd actually, we'll when we get out of session, we should have, we've got some people that are closely affiliated with that. We'd love to get them on the air with you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so it's a great tribute to our state, though.
Very good. 35th District Representative Drew McEwen calls in Wednesdays at this time, so we'll talk one more time before the likely end of the session coming up a week from tomorrow. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
It is 7:24 now at iFIBER One News Radio. Daybreak. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mary Lynn Foster has the news at 7:30. That in 6 minutes. ABC Sports as well. Mariners. Whoa, charity game today. Getting the season underway. We'll have our first Mariners broadcast for you Saturday. Also on Saturday, Gonzaga basketball.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER One News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER One News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER One News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:26 at iFIBER One News Radio, and good morning to you. It is Daybreak, 340 days, Carol. That is the amount of time that NASA astronaut Kelly was on the International Space Station. He was there the whole time with a Russian cosmonaut, a counterpart of his. Not a lot of play on him, but we're talking about Scott Kelly, whose brother's Mark Kelly.
Right, twin.
They're twins,
Yeah.
and so he hasn't been on Earth and felt gravity or
Couldn't walk.
breathe real air or drink, less purified water in 340 days. And they are more connected. And we talked about this yesterday. They're more connected technology-wise. I mean, they were watching the Super Bowl. They were interviewing them live during the Super Bowl. So they know what's going on, as compared to, somebody on a desert island or out to sea or something like that. So it'll be interesting once they start the tests. Now, I mentioned yesterday that he may be taller, right? Because gravity's not pushing down on him. And I wonder, as soon as he landed, does he stay laying down so they can get some official measurements and things like that? Or as soon as you enter Earth's gravity, does it start to literally press down on your shoulders?
It presses down because he can't walk. I mean, they have to lift him. They had to lift him out of the deal.
Was that just from atrophy of not using the legs in a way that we do daily?
Yeah, that and the fact that the difference is so great.
Man, pretty cool stuff. And we'll see videos for the next couple of days of him holding pens and dropping them and thinking that gravity will take over where it now won't. And the similarities that him and his brother, twin brother, what an opportunity for NASA. 7:29 at iFIBER One News Radio. Follow us on the Twitter for updated emergency notifications at iFiberOneRadio.com. Our Twitter at iFIBER One Radio. Facebook page at facebook.com/1030KMAS. And it's 7:28 here at iFIBER One. Other news stories yesterday. Casey Salisbury, the Mason County Sheriff, put on a press conference, and Jeff Chu was there. We have the full half-hour press conference on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. And Jeff Chu has a write-up about the situation as we understand it now. Of course, it's a fluid situation and things are potentially likely to change in the future, but always keep it tuned to iFIBER One Radio for the latest in that. Also, Shelton's Chad Youngquist, 3A Coach of the Year for swimming and diving. Sports Director Sean Wells put together a nice featured video to congratulate Chad and the swimmers and divers for Shelton High School. That was pretty cool stuff. And again, tonight is Empty Bowls down at the Civic Center. We're going to be down there from 5 until 7. Make your bowl tonight, glaze your bowl next Wednesday, and help out Saints Pantry on the Wednesday final. It's the 16th is that date.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. PUD3 crews were busy with an outage in the morning, then more in the afternoon. The morning outage appeared to be related to a problem with power lines just south of the Bonneville Power Administration substation in the Mountain View area of Shelton. Power was restored to nearly 2,700 customers by 12:30 p.m. A larger afternoon power outage was due to a windstorm where a gust of 66 miles per hour was registered at Shelton Sanderson Field. That outage affected about 4,700 customers. PUD crews were in the mop-up stage of restoration by 2 this morning. More details have been released about the murder-suicide in Belfair. During a press conference yesterday, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury said the 4 victims at a home northwest of Belfair were shot execution-style in a chicken coop near the home where shooter David Wayne Campbell later shot himself as law officers closed in. The 2 youths shot to death, 16-year-old Quinn Carlson and 18-year-old Tori Carlson, were both adopted from Kazakhstan. The weapon Campbell used was registered to Terry Carlson, the late husband of 49-year-old Lana Carlson, who was also fatally shot. The 4th victim was 68-year-old Donna Reed, a neighbor of Carlson's. Campbell allowed a 12-year-old girl who was living at the home to leave. She is now under the supervision of State Child Protective Services. Toby Kevin and Barb Wiesa stopped by Daybreak to talk about Community Lifeline. It started with just a few people providing dinners, and Barb shared how much the demand has grown.
2 churches serving meals in 2004 to now 16 churches and many service organizations within the community serving those meals.
The Community Meals is a collaboration of over 200 volunteers from 13 churches and many community groups who plan, cook, and serve dinners every night of the year. The community partners also provide resources to help people move towards self-sufficiency. Toby says the costs add up.
Probably current operating budgets in the range of $80,000.
Wow.
And then mention again that going back about 6 months ago, St. David's decided to sell that building and has offered it to us for sale. The thermometer, I don't know if it's current. I checked the bank balance last night and we've got about $112,000 in the bank.
Oh.
So we have at least another almost 90 to go. And we really depend upon the generosity and support of people throughout the community. We really need their help. That's the primary source we have of operating funds and capital.
Donations are being accepted online at GoFundMe.com/Community Lifeline. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER One News Radio.
This is not an election cycle where middle-of-the-road Democrats are going to stir up enough of the base and enough excitement and enthusiasm that they're going to seriously win elections. And that's the thing that Republicans have figured out and Democrats have yet to learn, which is that elections are not about swaying so-called undecided voters. They're about stirring up the base. The base will bring the undecided voters along with them. They'll do it through social media. They'll do it through talking to their neighbors. They'll do it by talking to people in the workplace. But you've got to energize the base.
If you could wave a wand and change one thing about your house, what would it be?
Hold that thought, but forget the wand. Home improvement isn't magic.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, we can show you the tricks of the trade for remodeling and repair.
And how to not get fooled when you're choosing and directing a contractor. Hi, I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Phone in your fix-up questions here this weekend.
On the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
No Steph, same result. Hi, everyone. Dave Packer reporting on sports. Steph Curry tied an NBA record with 12 threes made in the Warriors' last game against Oklahoma City, but an ankle injury kept him out of Tuesday's game against Atlanta. Enter Draymond Green with some overtime heroics.
Clay, right side, drives on Horford. Bazemore helps out. Lob inside, Bogut off his fingertips, saved it to the wing. Draymond catches, shoots with a buzzer, goal it, and he hit it! He hit it! He turned and shot it in one motion, knocked it down right in front of the Golden State bench. Are you kidding me?
On KNBR, as Golden State survives with the 109-105 win in overtime. The Warriors also without Andre Iguodala in this game as well. Klay Thompson had 29 points. In baseball, Yankees reliever Aroldis Chapman will not appeal his 30-game suspension stemming from an alleged domestic incident with his girlfriend. On a busy night in college basketball, the third time was the charm for Oklahoma.
Hield, three, short. And a long rebound tracked down by Latin. Woodard finds Hield again. And again he misses. Cousins was open. That too is good.
On ESPN, as the third-ranked Sooners hung on to beat number 19 Baylor 73-71. Meanwhile, Yogi Ferrell provided some much-needed breathing room for number 12 Indiana.
Bryant is trying to post. It's Yogi. It's three. Got them all! Yogi with a big three. And the lead is 5.
Also on ESPN, as the Hoosiers got past number 16 Iowa 81-78. Back to the pros we go, where Damian Lillard continues to be a man on a mission.
Lillard against Fredette. Dribbles right, comes back left. Now 10 to shoot. Lillard squares up, leans back with a three-pointer right through. Welcome to the game, Jimmer Fredette.
On KPOJ, as the Blazers cruise past the Knicks 104-85. Lillard now has hit the 30-point mark in 3 straight games and in 8 of his last 9. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
7:36, and good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey, and Carol Gardner has a forecast of the weather in a few moments. We're looking at sports right now, and Heidi Lyerson, the youth services librarian, will be in a few moments to talk about Dr. Seuss's birthday. Seattle Mariners have finalized a $500,000 one-year contract with Cuban outfielder Guillermo Heredia. Deal includes a $400,000 signing bonus. If he's optioned to the minors, salary would be $82,700. Not played competitively since 2014, defected from Cuba last year. Mariners start spring training today with the annual charity game. Our first broadcast will be Saturday at noon against the LA Angels. Gonzaga basketball is getting ready for the WCC tournament. They play Portland Saturday night on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Pregame at 9:10, 9:30 is the tip-off. With a win, they'll move on to Monday. A win there puts them in the finals Tuesday night. We'll follow Gonzaga as far as they go this month in both the WCC and the NCAA tournaments. Watch the feature video on Shelton boys swimming and diving, along with an interview with Washington's 3A swim coach of the year, Chad Youngquist, on iFIBER ONE News Radio. That was put together by sports director Sean Wells. 7:38 now, and to check the South Sounds forecast, here's Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's 45. It's cloudy. We're going to have rain throughout the day, afternoon, and evening, and we'll have rain into tomorrow. We'll may have some thunder showers tomorrow. The high is going to be in the mid to low 50s. Today we should reach a high about 52, and right now it's 45.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:38 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. We will have conversations about Dr. Seuss coming up in a few moments. Under some of the news tabs on iFIBER ONE News Radio, the legislature okays authorization for growing industrial hemp.
Yeah.
It's going to be signed in by the governor and puts out kind of a study for Wazoo. It didn't mention any other schools, but good enough. Wazoo is going to decide and whether or not this is a deal, a legitimate kind of enterprise.
Right, and we're supposed to find out by the fall, next fall?
By January.
Next January.
So this isn't going to be one of these long drawn out 5-year, 10-year governmental studies on the effects of industrial hemp. We're going to say, is it working? Yeah, it's working, and it's a great. Is it a weed? I mean, it's weed, right? Because that's what they call marijuana.
Well, it's a plant.
Hemp. Plant. That's probably better. I mean, it's a plant. They had been using it.
You can use it for fiber.
Isn't that what they
products?
say that the Declaration of Independence is written on?
That's what they say. And I mean, it's in lotion. You can eat it
Cage for that. Yeah.
without any heady effects, and you can make clothing out of it.
That's what I'm most interested in.
Have you ever had a hemp t-shirt? They are amazingly soft, way softer than cotton.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they're really nice.
I can say that I have not.
Yeah.
You can make rope out of it, and it all lasts a lot longer. And the other part is the grow time is shorter,
right?
And it doesn't wreak havoc on the
environment
and on the soils. So could be a good thing.
Yeah, I think it could be a great thing. Also, we just want to remind you, the First Street delay started at 7, lasts till 5:30. It's going to be every day, Monday through Friday at least, through possibly the end of March. So if you're heading through downtown Shelton and you want to get through over the Goldboro Creek Bridge, you might want to try it a different way.
Yeah,
think about it, because it's just alternating one-lane traffic. And then the Spring Pride Night is next week, the 9th. Dr. Alex Apostle will be here this Friday to talk more about that. That's pretty cool. And then also we have that main story on the shooting and everybody that's been updated. And we have the whole news conference on there. It's about half an hour long.
Casey Salisbury spoke to the media yesterday. 7:41 at iFIBER ONE News Radio on Facebook, facebook.com/1030KMAS. Also at Twitter at iFIBER ONE Radio. You can follow us along with our tweets that provide information, emergency information, and things like that. Also, I'm starting to kind of understand this Twitter thing a little bit better.
Yeah, you've been sort of you're liking it a little better. Liking it or understanding it?
Understanding it, not necessarily liking it better, but it is a great way to get information out there, including, I just read on the Twitter that the Associated Press is reporting that there are aviation experts looking at possible debris from that Malaysia airplane.
That's pretty crazy. What's that about? That was a year ago, I
think it was even longer than that now. That Malaysian plane MH.
And they had no idea what happened to it.
They had no idea. They thought a wing may have come up. They just have not. They have got no idea.
But they thought they found it before, parts of it. So now this is another allegedly possibility that they have some stuff from that plane crash. Wow, it's crazy.
Also, King 5 is tweeting out that Google searches on how to move to Canada spiked as Super Tuesday results came across the wire. That's pretty interesting. We had great wall-to-wall coverage last night from Salem Radio Network's Hugh Hewitt. We partner with Salem Radio and CNN to bring you Republican debates when they offer them up to us to have on the radio. I'll take a look and see when the next time we'll have one on for us coming up.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
iFIBER Communications, the fastest internet provider in Washington State, has just opened their doors here in Mason County and got their first local customers signed up. James, tell me about your experience.
From the first time I learned of iFIBER to the day I got hooked up, even now, I felt that my fiber connection and the service given to me have been the #1 most important job to every member of the iFIBER team. And not just because I was first in line with my nose pressed up to the glass waiting for a company to take my money.
What differences have you noticed?
I get what I pay for. With non-fiber solutions, you're paying up to the top and never get a constant number anywhere near that top. With fiber, you certainly do. With iFIBER, you get it at a competitive and affordable price.
Why should others sign up for iFIBER Internet?
Well, iFIBER has made a commitment to Mason County. They're working hard to bring fast speeds to everyone at an affordable price. And now with phones and television, your bill will be all in one place with no hidden fees or sudden price changes to surprise you month to month like other all-in-one service providers.
Get signed up for iFIBER Communications today by calling 360-427-4000 or visit iFIBER.tv for more information.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE Newsradio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCord, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE Newsradio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
.45 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, Daybreak, and we thank you for joining us. Today is Dr. Seuss's birthday, Carol. Woohoo, indeed. On the radio with us, Heidi Larson, who's the Youth Services Librarian here in town at the Shelton William G. Reed Library. Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in and being a part of the show this morning.
It's an exciting day. Dr. Seuss was quite an influential character.
Yes, he is, and still continues to delight kids with readings of the books. We read Dr. Seuss to my young son every night, and when was he born? You just had that up there, 1905? 1902 or something like that? 1904.
March 2nd, 1904.
Wow. So he has written tons of books, Green Eggs and Ham, The Lorax, Cat in the Hat, all these great things. Do libraries get into this? Is this like a big day?
It's a big day, not just for libraries, but I know a lot of schools celebrate it also. But for the library, it's Dr. Seuss's birthday today kicks off Family Read Aloud, which lasts for 6 weeks until Beverly Cleary's birthday.
Okay.
So it's kind of two bookmarked on either end by two really great children's authors, one for younger kids, one for older kids. And we have a lot of special things going on for Family Read Aloud. Can I tell you some of the stuff?
Please, yeah.
Okay. So just today, we have a Seussical story time at 11 a.m. at the Shelton Library, and we'll be doing all sorts of felt stories and Seuss stories and a Seuss craft afterward. I will be wearing a big white and red striped hat.
Really?
And then next week at the Hoodsport Library, we have Get Loose with Seuss. A band called Harmonica Pocket is coming in and doing magic and music and all sorts of fun interactive things with the kids. Later on next month, April 2nd, we have Great Stories Near and Far. Chris Liebrick, who's an award-winning storyteller, is coming in, doing Dr. Seuss and other stories. You can read to a dog on April 16th. Pause to read. You can come in and read to a therapy dog, Seuss, or another book of your choice. And for the whole Family Read Aloud time, we're giving, we have a raffle going on, giving away a backpack full of kids' books.
Oh, great.
And we have all sorts of fun little things to give away, stickers and Dr. Seuss pencils and all sorts of things like that.
I've heard of the read to the dog thing before. It helps kids become confident in their reading aloud.
Exactly, yeah.
Because the dogs are very intent and they're listening the whole time. It's a pretty darn cool thing. What is it about Dr. Seuss? Is it just the rhyming, or is it the illustrations that go along with it? Why Why is Dr. Seuss the one that we always read the most, you think?
Well, I think both those things you mentioned. First of all, the rhymes. Dr. Seuss wrote books just to help kids learn to read. Before he wrote his first book, there was an article that came out in 1954 that talked about how kids weren't learning how to read because the beginning reader books were so boring. So he took it upon himself to write books that would captivate kids and also have that rhyme and break it down in those give them what we call phonological awareness. And that just means that in order for kids to start reading, they have to hear each syllable in the words. So he chose words that would help kids hear that, when they are ready to sound it out and start reading themselves, they have to see that those are separate sounds and separate syllables. So that was his whole intent and reason for writing. So that rhyme that you mentioned, that's really important. But then after kids learn how to read, they're still reading Dr. Seuss because of, like you say, the zany illustrations.
Yeah.
They're hilarious. The cat in the hat comes into the house and then balances the fish and the thing 1 and thing 2 and things are getting all crazy in the house. So, and studies show that kids that laugh when they're reading, they're going to pick up another book. They're going to become lifelong readers.
Oh, wow.
So that humor is really important too.
So the previous books, is that like the C. Dick, C. Jane, C. Spot, stuff like that? Oh, I can see how that definitely would have put a kibosh on my reading, if that's what it was.
It would have been a little boring. So Dr. Seuss, he wasn't a doctor. That was just his pen name. So he was just a writer, and I thought, hey, I can improve the writing for children.
And that was not his first pen name.
Oh.
His real name was Theodore Geisel. I think it's Geisel. Theodore Geisel.
Yeah,
could be
good.
Geisel. So before Dr. Seuss, he tried out Theophrastus Seuss, Leo Lisseg, which is Geisel spelled backwards, and Rosetta Stone. And he wasn't a real doctor. He put that on because his dad always just wanted him to be a doctor. Here you go, Dad. I'll put a doctor in front of my name.
That's great.
Why is so we understand that reading is important. We get that reading is important. But why is it so important for young kids to start listening and then reading themselves as early as possible, I would imagine?
Right. And Dr. Seuss actually wrote a book just to be read to babies in the womb. So that's really early.
Yeah.
Well, kids that are read aloud to, they are early readers. They have greater attention spans and self-control. Later in life, they begin to understand through stories about kids that are different than themselves. They start learning empathy. These are all based on studies. When they read about kids that are like themselves, they realize they're not alone in the world. But there's some kids out there in not too happy childhoods, and that's a really good thing to learn.
One thing I loved about when I was reading, because my whole family read. My mom was part of the library system, so we all read early. We all still read now, but you could go learn. I mean, not necessarily escapism, but you could go live in somebody else's world for a while, and then you could get to learn so many different things that you would never even know existed.
Oh, exactly. And escapism is important. We think life is so hard as adults, but it can be pretty tough for kids too. Everyone needs to escape. So those are some reasons. It also is shown reading together, reading aloud, makes for happier families, strengthens the bond between parent and child, also based on studies. So there's a lot of good reasons to start kids learning to read as soon as possible and reading aloud together.
Let's talk about reading aloud, and this month people are doing that. You mentioned there's a raffle going on. I imagine we have to fill out a piece of paper saying we've read these books aloud, or what do we have to do? How do we get involved?
You just come in and we give you some fun little treats and give you the drawing slip to put your name and phone number down, and you put it in the tin can.
And you're good to go.
Yeah, and if you're the lucky winner, we will have a way to call you and let you know. I did leave out one other thing we're having during Family Read Aloud is Sing to Your Librarian Week, which is March 21st to 26th. And you can just come up to the information desk and sing us a song or part of a song, or even maybe just hum, and you get stickers.
Whoa. I have to go sing to Terry if he's working up at Hoodsport. 20 minutes a day, is that still what people are saying? Should we read longer than that if we have the time? Or
libraries are different than schools. Schools are saying 20 minutes a day. They have a different mission, different goals than we do. For libraries, we're all about the pleasure of reading. We know, based on research, that kids that enjoy reading, have choices about what they read in a non-pressured environment are going to be lifelong readers. That's what we're concerned about.
Okay.
So we put no pressure. How many books? Doesn't matter. Are you reading the back of the cereal box, or graphic novels, or listening to books, downloadable books? Doesn't matter. Just you're having, it brings you pleasure, you're enjoying it, you're going to be a lifelong reader. And that's something for parents to think about too. And one of the reasons to choose books that are humorous and to read casually together, but in a non-pressured environment, because you want the kids to have positive associations with reading.
Right.
That is something that's fun to do. It's not like math, where like, and I got to do my math homework. No.
That makes sense.
Just for you.
And then think about that. I got 15 more minutes. You got to read.
That's funny.
That is an interesting point.
I wonder if it's because we read so early that I love reading.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I don't think of it as a chore ever. That isn't even a concept.
I know.
Amazing. So today's Dr. Seuss's birthday, and again, the events going on today start at 11. Is that what you said?
11. We have a Seussical story time.
And then the next event coming up is when?
Probably at Hoodsport. Get Loose with Seuss. And after that, we have the storyteller Chris Liebrick on April 2nd, and Reading to a Dog on April 16th.
Timberland Regional Library, you can get your library cards there for free, and visit the library online at trl.org. They have expanded their digital footprint. There is a lot of options for you with magazines and music and movies, but also head on into the old brick and mortar, the old library. They've got tons of books that you can check out for readers of all ages. Heidi, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. It was fun.
Good. It's 7:55 now. We'll take a break here from the Old Farmer's Almanac. Get ready for 8 o'clock here on iFIBER 1. We have a late edition guest to tell you about right after this quick break on Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio.
The rings of Saturn, Jupiter at its brightest, and a lunar eclipse. They're all on display in the March sky. Details on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Wednesday, March 2nd, the 62nd day of the year. Rock vocalist John Bon Jovi has a birthday, and the premiere of the movie King Kong was on this night in 1933. The first week of March provides ample sights for stargazers. You'll find Saturn hovering to the right of the moon in the early morning hours. With its rings angled wide open, it's a glorious sight when viewed with decent magnification. Evening stargazers can't miss Jupiter. Rising just after sunset, the giant planet is at its biggest and brightest of the year as it approaches opposition on the 8th. And later this month, there's a partial lunar eclipse. The full warm moon will be dimmed by the Earth's shadow on the 23rd. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Find more stargazing advice at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER 1 News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:57 at iFIBER 1 News Radio. Yeah, so yesterday, Kaiser's kind of, he's starting to understand the concept of using the restroom. So he'll say that he needs to go to the restroom now and head over there and sit down and do stuff. So I'm sitting there. We have a joke book that we read. He's got his little magazine while he's reading it, sitting on the toilet. And I'm sitting there watching him, and I go, light bulb, bing! I've got up in the storage a box sitting right next to all my King Griffey Jr. rookie cards so Kaiser can go to college. I've got just handfuls of old comic books like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Daffy Duck and things like that. So I pulled down some of the comic books and, he's starting to look through those as well. So we highly encourage the reading. It's so fun. He picks up on things. It's so amazing what they're learning. We have a late edition guest to talk about today. No port of call. The guys are off on assignment, so they will be out of the radio station today. So no port of call. In their stead, we are going to, we've put out an offer to Kevin Schmelzlin to come back on the radio. If you remember Kevin, he joined us a few weeks past when he wanted to clean up the area behind where he rents his house. Along the railroad tracks there was a big area that was really messy. It looked awful. And they posted a photo of what it looked like and some 200 pounds of trash or something like that. Was that what it was? A huge amount of trash was picked up in a day. He started a Facebook page, and Shelton to the Top is the name of that one. We posted the link on there. He writes about an interesting interaction that he had. He posts about it on his page. We have shared it now and encourage you to listen or read it. And then Kevin will be on at 8:45 to talk with us about the interaction, about Shelton to the Top, about the outreach that has been, the positive and negative outreach that's been given to him based on this. So check it out on our Facebook, facebook.com/1030KMAS.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033 KMAS Shelton.
News. I'm Karen Chase. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are a giant step closer to their party nominations with 7 Super Tuesday primary wins each. ABC political director Matthew Dowd takes a look at the potential clash of the Titans.
There's so many people on both the Republican side that don't nominate Donald Trump because he's going to get beaten badly. I think Hillary Clinton is favored in a matchup, but I think Hillary Clinton is only slightly favored in. I think both parties are about to nominate very flawed candidates who are then going to go against each other in a very titanic race of outsider, ultimate insider.
Ted Cruz won 3 races and told backers he's the only one who could defeat Trump. Bernie Sanders is vowing to stay in the race until the convention. While Donald Trump was making his acceptance speech, Twitter lit up with comments about Chris Christie's strained facial expression. Some theorized he was saying to himself, "What have I done?" Another tweeted, "He looks like my dog when he realizes the car is going to the vet." The Supreme Court is hearing its biggest abortion case in decades today as it considers whether a Texas law regulating doctors who perform them violate a woman's constitutional rights. ABC's Andy Field has details on the case.
3 years ago, Texas lawmakers said abortion doctors must also have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital and their clinics be as well equipped as an outpatient surgical center. Pro-choice groups fighting the law say if the Supreme Court lets Texas do that, the number of clinics in the state will drop to fewer than 10. Swing vote Justice Kennedy could decide the restrictions have gone too far and kill the law, or the court could tie and the law stays in place.
Debris that washed ashore in Mozambique is being examined at this hour to determine if it's from a missing Malaysian Airlines plane. Astronaut Scott Kelly is safely back on Earth. After nearly a year in the space station, he had to be lifted out of the Soyuz capsule. Under a new law, tiny salt shaker symbols are popping up on New York City restaurant menus, supposedly to warn about high salt content. But whether they'll result in healthier habits is unclear. So far, they're being greeted with a shrug. Some say it won't change what they order. This is ABC News.
Here's a special message for those of you who owe the IRS at least $10,000 or more in back taxes. The IRS has special programs in place that could eliminate or reduce your tax debt by thousands of dollars. With a call to National Tax Helpline, you can stop the wage garnishments, levies, and tax liens now. Once you've qualified and enrolled, the IRS will stop all the collection activities against you. These unique programs have been allocated to help the economy and significantly reduce or eliminate your tax burden. The IRS News is currently accepting reduced settlements and other favorable programs. You may qualify for substantial savings, so get the help you need. If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more, call now for free information and to see if you qualify. Take down the number now for the tax helpline, 800-708-4718. That's 800-708-4718 for free information. 800-708-4718. That's 800-708-4718.
A Florida teen accused of playing doctor in an extremely disturbing way is back behind bars. ABC's Samantha Jordan tells us this time it's for another crime.
18-year-old Malachi Love Robinson, now known simply as Dr. Love, is sitting in a cell at the Palm Beach County Jail where he's now facing new charges, larceny of at least $20,000, and 5 separate fraud charges for using someone's ID without their consent. The teenager was first arrested last month after posing as a doctor and giving medical advice to an undercover officer.
I am deeply saddened and a little disrespected by some of the things that have come forward.
Love Robinson has defended his actions and says he never claimed to be an MD. Samantha Jordan, ABC News.
It could be another day of tearful testimony for Dancing with the Stars co-host Erin Andrews. She's been undergoing cross-examination in her $75 million lawsuit against a hotel chain and a stalker over nude pictures taken in her hotel room. She testified yesterday she'll never get over it, and every time she stays in a hotel, she checks for cameras. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. PUD3 crews were busy with an outage in the morning, then more in the afternoon. The morning outage appeared to be related to a problem with power lines just south of the Bonneville Power Administration substation in the Mountain View area of Shelton. Power was restored to nearly 2,700 customers by 12:30 p.m. A larger afternoon power outage was due to a windstorm where a gust of 66 miles per hour was registered at Shelton's Sanderson Field. That outage affected about 4,700 customers. PUD crews were in the mop-up stage of restoration by 2 this morning. More details have been released about the murder-suicide in Belfair. During a press conference yesterday, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury said the 4 victims at a home northwest of Belfair were shot execution-style in a chicken coop near the home where shooter David Wayne Campbell later shot himself as law officers closed in. The 2 youths shot to death, 16-year-old Quinn Carlson and 18-year-old Tori Carlson, were both adopted from Kazakhstan. The weapon Campbell used was registered to Terry Carlson, the late husband of 49-year-old Lana Carlson, who was also fatally shot. The 4th victim was 68-year-old Donna Reed, a neighbor of Carlson's. Campbell allowed a 12-year-old girl who was living at the home to leave. She is now under the supervision of State Child Protective Services. Toby Kevin and Barb Wiesa stopped by Daybreak to talk about Community Lifeline. It started with just a few people providing dinners, and Barb shared how much the demand has grown.
2 churches serving meals in 2004 to now 16 churches and many service organizations within the community serving those meals.
The Community Meals is a collaboration of over 200 volunteers from 13 churches and many community groups who plan, cook, and serve dinners every night of the year. The community partners also provide resources to help people move towards self-sufficiency. Toby says the costs add up.
Probably current operating budget's in the range of $80,000.
Wow.
And then mention again that going back about 6 months ago, St. David's decided to sell that building and has offered it to us for sale. The thermometer, I don't know if it's current. I checked the bank balance last night and we've got about $112,000 in the bank.
Oh.
So we have at least another almost 90 to go. And we really depend upon the generosity and support of people throughout the community. We really need their help. That's the primary source we have of operating funds and capital.
Donations are being accepted online at gofundme.com/Community Lifeline. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
Patrick in Texas says, my wife thinks we should have an emergency credit card. How can I explain to her that this is a terrible idea? Well, the last time on earth that you need to go into debt at 18% interest would be at a time when your family has an emergency. What you need is money. If you had $20,000 set aside for an emergency fund, you wouldn't need an emergency credit card, right?
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm attorney Harold Carr. During the past 25 years, more than 8,000 people have trusted me to handle their personal injury cases. I understand how an injury can disrupt your life and cause financial hardship for you and your family. At the law firm of Harold Carr, we have 5 attorneys and 19 staff members experienced with negotiating and litigating with insurance companies. So if you feel the insurance company is not dealing with you fairly, call me, Harold Carr. Let us deal with the insurance company so you won't have to.
Car accident? Call Carr or visit us online at haroldcarrattorney.com.
8:08. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 1033. Transit Talk coming up in about 7 minutes or so. Also at 8:45, we will have a late-minute edition with Kevin Schmelzlin, who has been around the area recently cleaning up some of the streets in town. He posted an interesting missive on his Facebook Shelton to the Top page. Pretty long, but pretty interesting. So take that read if you've got the time on our Facebook page or on his Shelton to the Top page, and he'll be in here at 8:45 to talk about that. In sports news, Mariners are getting underway. Annual charity game is today. Our first broadcast will be Saturday at noon against the LA Angels. Gonzaga basketball getting ready for the WCC tournament. They also will play on Saturday, though late into the evening, taking on Portland. Saturday night, 9:10 the pregame, 9:30 the tip. Win on Saturday. They'll move to Monday, win on Monday, and they're in the finals of the WCC Tuesday night. We'll follow Gonzaga as far as they go this month in both the WCC and the NCAA tournaments. On iFIBER1newsradio.com, the sports section features a video with the Shelton boys swimming and diving teams, along with an interview with Washington's 3A swim coach of the year, Chad Youngquist. Congratulations again to Coach Youngquist, and thanks to Sports Director Sean Wells for getting the time to meet with Chad and talking with him about a great accolade that was voted on, I believe, by his peers, voted him the Coach of the Year. So it's pretty cool stuff. 8:10 right now, and checking the South Sounds forecast. Here's Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's about 44, and it is clear outside, at least right here in the Shelton area. It is going to be sort of cloudy the rest of the day, and we will have some rain with it picking up a lot more this evening and overnight. We'll reach a high of 52, and tomorrow pretty much rain also is forecasted. Possible thunder showers, and still, though, the highs are going to be right around 50, 54. Right now, 44 and clear.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Good Wednesday to you, Carol.
Good Wednesday to you.
2nd of March. We are about an hour ago. We had a chat with 35th District Representative Drew McEwen. That replay will be on our website, iFIBER1newsradio.com. Session likely to end on the 10th.
Likely is a strong word. Or not strong.
Hopeful.
A hopeful word.
I'm hopeful that will likely end perhaps on the 10th, which is a week from tomorrow.
But politics is not over by a long shot.
No, wow, my goodness. Once you're done, I mean, even if you have only focused on Washington legislation this session.
Right.
You got a whole big world ahead of you.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Super Tuesday.
Continuous.
And No signs of anyone dropping out on
Nope.
in any aspect.
No, none at all. Even though Carson, he's up to 3 delegates. Kasich got 19.
He showed pretty well in Vermont. I think he got second place in Vermont, talking about Ohio Governor John Kasich.
Right. And then it jumps up to Rubio with 90, and you're thinking, wow, 19 to 90, that's pretty good. And then you jump up to the second place, and it's Cruz with over 200.
Well, that win in his home state of Texas last night gave him 155 or so delegates, so he really cleaned up there.
But Trump's only less than 30 ahead.
Well, there is a long ways to go, Carol. You're right about that. The Republicans have to get 1,300 or 1,600, something like that. Demos have to get 2,600. Clinton is nearing 600 for hers, and Trump is in the lead with 234.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER One News Radio. Nonprofits post your events on iFIBER1newsradio.com. Empty Bowls is a 3-night event to raise money for Saints Pantry Food Bank. On Wednesday, March 2nd, you can create a clay bowl. On Wednesday the 9th, you get to glaze the bowl. And on Wednesday the 16th, the bowls are available for sale, along with delicious soup and bread donated by local restaurants. Each Wednesday's program is 5 to 7 at the Civic Center on Coda Street. For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
Hey, baseball fans, it's that time of year again to join iFIBER One News Radio for Seattle Mariners baseball. Baseball is part of the fabric of summertime in the Northwest, and with people traveling to enjoy outdoor activities like camping, fishing, hiking, and boating, the only place to listen to the Seattle Mariners is on iFIBER One News Radio. People ask what they remember about a business when they have a need, and they always remember the name that they hear, the one that is most relevant in their mind. Advertising makes your business relevant and part of the community. Your business can be part of the Mariners broadcast each day or each inning of every game this summer by signing up now. Any business that signs up now to advertise with the Mariners gets up to 300 free schedule magnets. Call iFIBER One News Radio today at 360-426-1030 and sign up to be part of the Mariners broadcast team.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
8:15 on a Wednesday morning. It's Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio. We thank you so much for joining us. Carol Gardner and I are now in studio with Transit Talk on the air, and Terry Jeffries from the Mason Transit Authority Board, she is the chair on that, and Danette Brannon, Finance Manager and Acting General Manager in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for coming in and talking with us. Transit Talk here weekly on iFIBER One News Radio. Terry, we're going to start with you, and if you can just explain to us what the role of the Authority Board is. You're the chair, and what is the Authority Board?
Well, let me talk a little bit about who the Authority Board is.
Yeah, for sure.
So the RCW that authorize community transit organizations requires that the board, the governing board, be constitute the county commission and then some representation from the largest cities in the county.
Okay.
And we only have one city.
Right.
So it was felt that it was over time on the board, it was felt that there wasn't broad representation throughout the county. And so there were two different iterations of how to broaden that representation. It started off with fire chiefs with the philosophy that they were elected officials and so that they were representative, though for one role, they were still representative.
Right.
And then It turned out that there wasn't enough representation to the north end of the community. So then we switched it out to school board representation. And then that captured the Great View area, the North Mason, the Belfair area. So we have, under legislative authority, we have a broadened board that's not just county and city elected officials. And that's been wonderful. Sometimes I feel a little bit sorry for people that get onto the school board and say, I didn't do this to be a transit official, but they're on a really good learning curve and a steep one. And we do a really, really good job, and the association or the authority does a good job of orienting them to their roles.
I mean, it's a large area of the population that's not in Shelton that uses the bus and transit services. So that makes a good sense. And so you have oversight on some things like what?
So our main role is a fiduciary duty to make sure that it is fiscally conservative or fiscally sound, so that any of our policies, our operational increases, those sorts of things can be supported by the revenue sources. And Danette here, our acting general manager, is also the finance manager, and she'll be going in later about how is it fiscally supported, because as people are very well aware, within the county there it's fare free. And so what does that mean? How do we support ourselves then? So we do we oversee and make sure that there's a good fiscal sound philosophy and budgeting and good reserves. And then the second piece is the policy. We direct the policy regarding service, level of service, sometimes around major capital purchases. We're very involved in the transit center development and what that would look like, who it would serve, and general policies that we say, go forth, make good, implement this policy, Transit Authority.
Danette, so let's talk to you now. We'll start with you under the finance manager part of this. It is fare free in the county, and so how do you square that? How do you make that work?
Well, as Terry mentioned, that are the RCWs that regulate the public transportation benefit area require or allow for us to collect sales tax. So we currently have we get 0.6 on the dollar, percent on the dollar, which equates to 6 cents for every $10 of sales tax collected in Mason County. So that's part of our revenue from sales tax. Last year, we collected just over $3.8 million in sales tax revenue that supports the transit. We also have operating grants, both federal and state, and those we have to apply for. So an application every 2 years that coincides with the biennium of the state budget. And then that accounts for like 38% of our operating budget. And then we get a small portion of revenue from fares, because going out of county we charge. And for our worker driver program that goes to the Naval, Puget Sound Naval Yard, and our van pool. So we get some fares for the services we provide. And then we have we have rental. So of course our Transit Community Center, we're collecting rent from that now. And some rent up at our Johns Prairie facility as well. We have a few businesses there that rent space from us. So those are our big revenue sources. And
if I can interject here, just from the policy side of things, both at the federal and the state level, Danette mentioned the transportation grants. Over probably the last 8 years, there's been a strong emphasis and support for transit in the grant funding, where county road funding kind of has gone down as far as federal grants and state grants. It's definitely kept pace and increased at the federal and state level, as I believe as part of a larger policy to get people out of their cars, carbon reduction, energy savings, et cetera, and just a general support of transit and trying to get people to think about that as an alternate for traveling.
Yeah, that makes sense. There is some big pushes on that. Has Mason Transit always been fare free in the county, or was that a change? Has it always been that way?
It's always been fare free in county. It was fare free even out of county until, I'm sorry, I forget which year that is that it changed. And then we began charging fares out of county.
Is that unusual for a system, for a transit system?
There is only one other transit system in the state that's fare-free, and that's Island Transit. And they're completely fare-free at this point going out of county, but they're looking at charging fares out of county now.
Did you choose why did the transit choose that option or that?
Well, I think it's mostly because we look at, basically we were prepaying, the citizens are prepaying for the use of transit. And so that's kind of the philosophy there. And when we look at Mason County and we look at our riders, it's like, does it make sense? I kind of look at like Intercity Transit has a dash program that in their downtown is free.
Yeah.
So that's, when we look at the use of our transit program, I think that it makes sense for us to be fare free because most of the use is local.
And I think it increases usage. I mean, I rode the bus as in Seattle all the way till I was about 30 years old exclusively. And those free zones are really, really helpful.
They are.
And does encourage you to get on the bus, especially in our weather.
Yeah, for sure.
It does. I think so. I think I think we honestly in Mason County, if we were to say we're going to charge fares in county, we would probably lose ridership. And so I think that's something we always consider. And also the fare collection can be very costly. So you have to have people to count that fare or come up with a system of getting fares off of the bus and into the bank and that kind of thing. And so you weigh out that cost. Is it really worth it?
Sure.
So.
All right, so now we'll put on the acting general manager hat for you. We're going to talk about this year, this upcoming year. What are some of the big goals that we want to get accomplished in 2016? We want to get more riders. We want to get more drivers. What are some of the things?
Well, I was just telling Terry as we were waiting to come on that it's from a finance manager, I'm always saying, well, how's that going to impact us from a finance standpoint? Now I'm having to take on this role of saying, okay, well, how does this impact the agency as a whole? How does this impact our riders, our citizens, our community? What is this change going to cause internal? So it's a total different look, and I'm enjoying it.
I bet it is.
But it's like I'm also very driven, kind of one-minded at times. But so this is stretching me so great, and this is stretching me so. Our biggest goal right now, I would say, well, maybe not our biggest, but is to finish our strategic plan. That's highly important. It's something that we started back in fall of 2013, and it kind of sat for a while we did the Transit Community Center project, because obviously that was pretty big and consuming of our time. And so we've picked it back up recently, and we have the help of Marilyn Volger and Candace excuse me, I forget her last name. But anyway, they're helping us with the finish up our strategic plan. And then what that will help is as we bring things to the board and the board helps direct us, we can say, does this fit into our strategic plan? Does this project make sense? Can we sustain it if there's an operating piece? Because that's very important for our sustainability. So I think it's really going to be a huge help to us in guiding principles in the future. The other piece is driver recruitment. That seems to be ongoing and a challenge for us because we have competing industries for drivers, and all of our drivers typically start out as part-time. So when a driver is looking for full-time work, it makes it a little difficult for that recruitment piece. So we're looking at that. We've recently changed 2 of our drivers from part-time to full-time to help mostly in compliance to the Health Care Act that many of us are challenged with now when you have part-time people and keeping them balanced in the hours that the Act requires. Another big piece we have coming up is our park and ride development. Mike Oliver will be here, our development manager, to talk more about our park and ride development. So we're right now in the process of the RFQ process, request for qualifications. And once we have a consultant on board, we'll be working with the board and getting direction on this project. And it'll be about a 4-year project.
Are the park and rides used well in this area? There's one out by Pickering Road, one near Cole Road here. over there, and then one kind of off the city center exit that's not necessarily an official one, but that's kind of where you guys are looking next. Is that right?
Right. We have one at the Shelton Matlock exit that we're going to be focusing on immediately because with our express service, the bus needs to come through there and be able to maneuver through the parking lot. And right now they're not able to. So we're working with WashDOT to come up with agreement on the use there. And then the biggest challenge I think we have is our Belfair park and ride. We don't have one. And so that is probably the biggest focus in our park and ride development is getting the right location for the park and ride that makes sense for coming in and out. And
if I can interject there, yes. on the Belfair one, really, really want to be able to work with and have it be seamless with the Belfair bypass. It just makes a tremendous amount of sense to have the terminus of the bypass also have in very close proximity to the park and ride. So without knowing the exact alignment of the bypass yet, it's going to be difficult to identify where that might be. And then unfortunately, or fortunately for the Belfair area, unfortunately for the county, land prices up there are pretty high. Right. So be able to come within budget still and be purchasing some land. There is some discussion going on about partnering with the Port of Allen, who also has the district of Belfair, on some, at least helping developing together for some shared infrastructure costs. Not that there would be shared ownership of anything, just when you go in, you need the ingress egress, so you've got some costs there, as well as sewer and water line extensions. So we're hoping that that will help serve two different needs and shared costs. But yeah, the Belfair one is absolutely essential. The worker driver program is very, very Belfair dependent and very heavily used. So we need to have a good space for that.
A lot of folks head up to Bremerton every day through Belfair. We're just about out of time, but this has been a great conversation, getting a chance to meet you. Danette, the acting general manager, also the finance manager for Mason Transit, and Terry Jeffries, who's the authority board chair for Transit Talk this week. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
It's 8:29 right now. We're going to get to the morning stock numbers in just a moment. Also, Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news. That's all coming up here on Daybreak right after this.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER ONE Newsradio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER ONE Newsradio and the
listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
All right, 8:30 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey, and on the phone line from Edward Jones. There we go. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Karen Shade's with us here from her offices of Edward Jones on Olympic Highway South. Yes. And what's going on with Wall Street?
Well, U.S. stocks have pulled back from early losses, and little or change to begin the day as investors continue to weigh economic data. In economic news, private employers added more workers than expected in February, pointing to resilience in the labor market, which has been a key focus for the policymakers. Bond prices are slightly lower to begin the day. So far this morning, in the S&P 500, the best performing sector is energy, while the worst performing sector is utilities. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 11 points at 16,876. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is down 3 points at 1,974. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 0.11 at 46.89. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 312 million shares being traded, and advancers are outnumbering decliners by a roughly 3-2 margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is up $3.49 to $1,235.56. The spot price of silver is up 9 cents to $14.92, and crude oil prices are up 20 cents to $34.60. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.71%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.86%. Stocks of local interest Amazon is up $1.36. Costco is up 98 cents. Boeing is up 31 cents. Starbucks is down 76 cents. And Microsoft is down a quarter. This is Karen Shane of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton. And if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590. And daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen, thank you so much. 8:32 now at iFIBER One News Radio. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news, brought to you this time by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. PUD3 crews were busy with an outage in the morning, then more in the afternoon. The morning outage appeared to be related to a problem with power lines just south of the Bonneville Power Administration substation in the Mountain View area of Shelton. Power was restored to nearly 2,700 customers by 12:30 p.m. A larger afternoon power outage was due to a windstorm where a gust of 66 miles per hour was registered at Shelton's Sanderson Field. That outage affected about 4,700 customers. PUD crews were in the mop-up stage of restoration by 2 this morning. More details have been released about the murder-suicide in Belfair. During a press conference yesterday, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury said the 4 victims at a home northwest of Belfair were shot execution-style in a chicken coop near the home where shooter David Wayne Campbell later shot himself as law officers closed in. The 2 youths shot to death, 16-year-old Quinn Carlson and 18-year-old Tori Carlson, were both adopted from Kazakhstan. The weapon Campbell used was registered to Terry Carlson, the late husband of 49-year-old Lana Carlson, who was also fatally shot. The 4th victim was 68-year-old Donna Reed, a neighbor of Carlson's. Campbell allowed a 12-year-old girl who was living at the home to leave. She is now under the supervision of State Child Protective Services. Toby Kevin and Barb Wiesa stopped by Daybreak to talk about Community Lifeline. It started with just a few people providing dinners, and Barb shared how much the demand has grown.
2 churches serving meals in 2004 to now 16 churches and many service organizations within the community serving those meals.
The Community Meals is a collaboration of over 200 volunteers from 13 churches and many community groups who plan, cook, and serve dinners every night of the year. The community partners also provide resources to help people move towards self-sufficiency. Toby says the costs add up.
Probably current operating budgets in the range of $80,000.
Whoa!
And then mention again that going back about 6 months ago, St. David's decided to sell that building and has offered it to us for sale. The thermometer, I don't know if it's current. I checked the bank balance last night, and we've got about $112,000 in the bank.
Oh.
So we have at least another almost 90 to go. And we really depend upon the generosity and support of people throughout the community. We really need their help. That's the primary source we have of operating funds and capital.
Donations are being accepted online at gofundme.com/Community Lifeline. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
At Mason PUD3, we know that time changes all things, like phone numbers, mailing addresses, and email addresses, even names. PUD3 needs your correct account information for emergency contacts and online security. To make this fun, all PUD3 customers who update or confirm their account information by April 27th will have their names placed into a drawing for a free iPad mini. Go to masonpud3.org/account to learn more.
No Steph, same result. Hi, everyone. Dave Packer reporting on sports. Steph Curry tied an NBA record with 12 threes made in the Warriors' last game against Oklahoma City, but an ankle injury kept him out of Tuesday's game against Atlanta. Enter Draymond Green with some overtime heroics.
Clay, right side, drives on Horford. Bazemore helps out. Lob inside Bogut, off his fingertips, saved it to the wing. Draymond catches, shoots with a buzzer. Going, and he hit it! He hit it! He turned and shot it in one motion, knocked it down right in front of the Golden State bench. Are you kidding me?
On KNBR as Golden State survives with the 109-105 win in overtime. The Warriors also without Andre Iguodala in this game as well. Klay Thompson had 29 points. In baseball, Yankees reliever Aroldis Chapman will not appeal his 30-game suspension stemming from an alleged domestic incident with his girlfriend. On a busy night in college basketball, the third time was the charm for Oklahoma.
Hield, three, short. And a long rebound tracked down by Latin. Woodard finds Hield again. And again he misses. Cousins was open. That too is good.
On ESPN, as the third-ranked Sooners hung on to beat number 19 Baylor 73-71. Meanwhile, Yogi Ferrell provided some much-needed breathing room for number 12 Indiana.
Bryant is trying to post. It's Yogi. It's three. Got them all! Yogi with a big three. And the lead is 5.
Also on ESPN, as the Hoosiers got past number 16 Iowa 81-78. Back to the pros we go, where Damian Lillard continues to be a man on a mission.
Lillard against Fredette. Dribbles right. Comes back left. Now 10 to shoot. Lillard squares up. Leans back with a three-pointer right through. Welcome to the game, Jimmer Fredette.
On KPOJ, as the Blazers cruise past the Knicks 104-85. Lillard now has hit the 30-point mark in 3 straight games and in 8 of his last 9. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
8:38. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey, and thank you for joining us on Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Carol Gardner has a forecast for us in a few moments, but we're talking baseball. Baseball. Spring training baseball gets underway today, the annual charity game between the Mariners and the Padres. First broadcast on iFIBER ONE News Radio will be Saturday at noon against the LA Angels. Gonzaga basketball getting ready for the WCC tournament. They play Portland Saturday night. 9:10 is the pregame, 9:30 is the tip-off. With the win, moving on to Monday. They win Monday, they're in the finals for Tuesday night. We will follow Gonzaga as far as they go this month in both the WCC and the NCAA tournaments. On iFIBER1NewsRadio.com, Sports Director Sean Wells has put together a video featuring the Shelton boys swimming and diving teams, along with newly minted 3A Swim Coach of the Year, Chad Youngquist. Pretty darn cool. Good on him, and congratulations. Voted on by his peers. That video is on iFIBER1NewsRadio.com. 8:39 right now, moving to the South Sounds weather forecast. Here's Carol Gardner.
Good morning. It's 45 and clear out. Cloudy skies the clouds will be moving in, and we'll have periods of rain this afternoon. We'll reach a high of 52. It will rain and have showers overnight and through tomorrow. They are talking about a possible thunder, but we will see if we
the thunder rolls.
Basically, we're going to have rain, though right now we're having a reprieve.
Strikes.
Right now it's 45.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:40 on iFIBER ONE News Radio. No protocol today. The guys are on assignment.
Secret assignment.
Yeah, secret assignment. In their stead, Kevin Schmelzlin will be on the air with us in about 5 minutes. He has been on a couple times now, right? Talking about his efforts to clean up Shelton, and started with at his place. He looked out his back window, saw the train tracks there kind of near Neyland Park. And he was walking on there one day, and he looks over into the woods, and there's just a mess.
The pictures are amazing.
It is almost, you could almost say they're too amazing to be true. I mean, the amount of garbage that was just in this one little section.
It looks like they took the picture and then they went and placed all the garbage.
After
and then took another picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was clean, and then it was,
amazing.
And they found like
all sorts of gross stuff.
Needles and whatnot, and clothes and food. And so anyways, Kevin comes on the air a couple weeks ago and asks for help to clean up.
Right.
Gets a tons of response, and a lot of community folks are backing him on this one, and he puts together a Shelton to the Top Facebook page. So we follow that page, right? Because Kevin has been on the air with us. We want to keep involved with what he's doing. So he writes a pretty interesting writes out a conversation that he had before the Shelton City Commission meeting.
Right.
So we've shared that. Is that what it is? We've shared that on our page, and we're going to have Kevin in a little bit to talk about this interaction and how he feels now moving forward, and how's the community been responding to him. So that's all coming up. 8:42 right now on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Mason General Hospital and Family of Clinics continues to receive national recognition for its exceptional quality of care. Most recently being presented with an award for overall excellence and quality by the National Organization of States Offices of Rural Health. In February, Mason General was recognized for being an acute stroke-ready hospital, complete with telemedicine technology. These two awards come at the heels of the hospital's diagnostic imaging department receiving the American College of Radiology's gold standard for its MRI and CT programs, and MGH Olympic Physicians being recognized as a patient-centered medical home model for its highly coordinated patient-centered care. For details, see the March issue of Scope.
Mason General Hospital and Family of Clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and Family of Clinics.
Look for the latest in local news at iFiber1newsradio.com. Is your business targeting the state's largest payroll? Military personnel at JBLM and Naval Base Kitsap surpass all others, and Swarner Communications gives your businesses direct reach into those markets with newspaper advertising, face-to-face events, email blasts, mobile marketing, reputation management, and more, all for one affordable price. Call Swarner Communications today, 253-584-1212. Alex Jones and InfoWars, weeknight 6 to 9 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
And with Google Analytics and with Facebook behind it, they all met the same place Bilderberg met a few years ago. They met there a few years before that. They're north of London. This has all been publicly released and funded the Arab Spring, where they get the students, everybody out the street. But then the radicals use that once they take over to coup d'etat the coup. And then now you have an Islamic State over Libya, over Saudi Arabia, which is already quarterbacking it, over Syria, over Egypt.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
8:45 on a Wednesday morning. It's the 2nd of March. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jeff.
And we do appreciate you joining with us on Daybreak. Normally this time, Port of Call, we usually dive deep into Port of Shelton business. Guys are out on special assignment. And so in their stead is Kevin Schmelzlin, who has been on the air with us a couple times now. He's been in to talk about ways that he'd like to see the community get cleaned up. And it started off in a little bit of area kind of right behind your house. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Right behind your house on the railroad tracks off near the park, right? Wallace-Neyland Park, is that right?
Yeah, Neyland Park, yes.
And so when that first started, it was you came on the air and said, we're getting together the next day, and please come over and help if you can. And you guys picked up a lot of trash that first time, no?
We did, about 2,400 pounds.
Wow.
That is a lot.
That is a lot. You had since made efforts to clean up parts near the park and ride, actually, that we were just talking about with Mason Transit right there at the City Center Matlock exit.
Right.
And how was that? How did that effort come forth? Did people show up and help you with that?
Yeah, we had about as many people at that second cleanup as we did at the first one, and mostly totally different people. You know, a couple people were the same. And then we've been doing them every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. We're going to continue to do them every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. And, you know, last week's was actually our biggest yet. We did a family-friendly cleanup where we had, I don't know the exact count, but 30 to 40 people, about half of which were kids.
Wow.
And it was fantastic. We got a lot of trash picked up, and it was just a great opportunity to, for the kids to learn about helping their community, and for, I think, the community to be inspired by these kids.
We've seen you in front of the county commission asking for some help in the repayment of when they had to go take all the stuff to the trash. We've also seen you in front of the city commission talking about the efforts that you're doing. How is the efforts being picked up by the commissioners, by the residents? Obviously, you're getting a good draw, but that's a small portion of the city. Does it seem like people are getting behind you in this effort, or what's going on?
Yeah, I've been very excited about it. We're making great partnerships, really seeing a lot of momentum here.
Mm-hmm.
And McCleary just had, which, not too close to here, but I believe partly inspired by what we're doing in Shelton, just had their inaugural community cleanup. I've been hearing from people in Hoodsport, in Union, on Harsine Island, and throughout the city about wanting to get involved, about wanting to do their own community cleanups. So that's been exciting. The county is working with us. I still have not had a meeting with the county commissioners and their staff, but that should be happening soon to figure out how the county can best support this effort on behalf of the city and the county. And the city's also been very helpful. They're helping us pick up the garbage bags and dispose of those. So I've been, for the most part, very happy with both the county and the city wanting to be involved in this effort, wanting to help out.
So you have some Facebook pages, and one of them is Shelton to the Top, and people can find out your schedule of where you're going to be. And you kind of write a little story right before Monday's city commission meeting. Is that right? Yesterday's city commission meeting?
So the city commission meeting was on Monday. I wrote the post yesterday in response to a meeting I had with Mayor Krantz before the city commission meeting. And that meeting was occurred because of, I believe, my comments 2 weeks prior at the past city commission meeting, where I urged for the city to, just give a little more deliberation, a little more thought, a little more focus on protecting and revitalizing the city that we already have, which is really the point of the whole Shelton to the Top page and movement, as opposed to immediate expansion and development. I personally don't have any issue with eventual expansion and development, doing it in a smart, sustainable way, but we have a lot of homes and a lot of buildings that have been sitting vacant for years even. So I think we need to take care of the problems that we already have, which, hearing from the community and just seeing it for myself, seem to be pretty clear problems. I think if we take care of those, and it's going to make that eventual development and expansion a lot easier. We'll be able to get, I don't want to say higher quality homeowners, but as opposed to, right now we have a lot of rentals in town, and I feel like the emphasis for at least as long as I've been here, which has not been that long, 3 years, but it sounds like even since before then, an emphasis on being cheap as opposed to quality. Having these quality homes, quality homeowners, and so my comments were directed about that, the need to protect and revitalize what we already have before looking elsewhere, because we have limited resources, we have limited city staff time, and if we don't have a focus, we're not going to protect and revitalize what we already have. It's going to continue to, as I see it, as a lot of people see it, decay. It seems like we have more and more vacant buildings downtown and throughout the city, every few months. It doesn't seem like we have more people coming in than are leaving. And I don't believe that building more buildings, building more homes is necessarily going to change that if we still have the same clear problems. And I'm not hearing a plan for bringing in, more police, to deal with more people. So either we're going to have more people with the same amount of city resources, at least initially, which can lead to problems, or we're going to have these new homes built, new buildings built, and if they don't get occupied, then we're just going to have more vacant buildings around town. So either way, I don't see that as being a good strategy, but I want to speak with the city commission about this, and I expressed in a public venue my opinion, and the mayor asked me for a meeting, and I was very excited about it. I thought that he wanted to hear my thoughts on what we can do to help clean up the city and what the city can do to help us in this effort, and also for me to hear from the mayor what his vision is for the city and what's already being done, because I'm new to this.
Sure.
You know, I don't have all the answers. I want to learn. But what the meeting ended up being was very defensive, and I feel very disrespectful. I was essentially told that these comments should not be made in public, that I should be speaking with him directly, and essentially if I want help with my project, which is cleaning up the city, that essentially I better scratch his back as well. So
okay,
it was pretty disturbing.
Obviously, this is just one side of a story. Gary's not here to defend himself. The Focus on Shelton is an opportunity tomorrow at the same exact time. If you'd like to come, just throwing that out there. But I'm looking at the comments posted, Carol, and you're looking at those too.
I am, and pretty much everybody is like, it's all positive comments. I saw one comment that was maybe not positive, and another one was like half, but basically everybody is like, let's get this going. I mean, why hasn't this happened before? And just, go for it. And so you definitely have the community behind you.
Are you getting the people to show up that help you clean up? Are you getting them to also show up to the commission meetings to prove how the city wants this? Are you able to bring people in, or?
Well, I'm hoping they will, especially now. It was not a priority of mine before. I think now it needs to be, because I think the city commission needs to hear from the community. Again, I see this proposal, or now it's been approved by the city, for reducing fees that get cheaper homes built, cheaper buildings coming in. I see this as counterintuitive to what the community is asking for. So I think it's important that they do hear from the community, and I think I expect that the mayor and the commissioners will see that post. It's totally public. It's meant for everyone to see. But yeah, I think the community, at least a significant subset of the population, of the residents of the city, agree with what I'm saying. And I think that's what's important, is it's not just me. And even if it was just me, the mayor should want to hear my opinion. I'm a resident of the city. He should appreciate these comments that are being made, even if he disagrees with them. And I'd love to hear, facts and figures and his general view on it. But there's clearly a lot of people who are saying the same thing that I'm saying. These people are going to city commissioner meetings, and if you go to Mason Web TV, or you can see these city commission meetings, and most of the comments have been critical about this immediate expansion and development. And I encourage people to go and check that out for themselves. But clearly, the mayor is not hearing these comments, does not want to hear these comments, and that was made much more clear to me when I met with him. And I didn't even see the Mason County Journal before my meeting with the mayor, before posting my comments yesterday. But I think possibly part of the reason he was defensive was this comment right here. The mayor also suggested some people are opposing the fee reduction because of animosity towards himself and new Commissioner McDowell. Quote, people want failure from a new administration, unquote, he said. And I disagree. I don't want any failure from our city, from our administration. I want success. I want our commissioners and the mayor to succeed. I want them to be the city commission that turns around our city and makes our city the great place that it can be. But I think that's a very awful mentality to have as a mayor, thinking that people want you to fail, thinking that people want the city to fail just because you're, a new administration. I don't know why he thinks that way. I hope that changes. I'm not trying to personally attack him. I do hope that this mentality will change, though, and that he will listen to the community.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're going to be deterred on your efforts to bring Shelton to the top. Where are you cleaning up this weekend?
We actually have a couple of locations, one of which is going to be near Johns Prairie Road, close to the 3, and then also that big vacant lot near the McDonald's, near Wallace Nealon. There's a lot of trash in there. I heard about that, and I went on foot and explored a little bit, and yeah, there's a lot of trash out there. So we're actually going to do a couple of locations, have a morning and an afternoon. So we're trying to ramp up our efforts a little bit.
So it's been about a month?
About a month now.
So have you gone back to that first place, and is there more garbage there?
The tracks, yes. I actually walk the tracks every day and pick up a lot of glass every day.
So there's still garbage happening.
It's still happening. It's still occurring.
Yeah.
The big mess that was pictured, the abandoned homeless camp, that has not happened yet. We're also still in winter, so I imagine that messes will come back. But as long as we stay vigilant, keep on working towards cleaning up the city, we can make it happen, and that we can be so much more efficient with our city leadership on board. And I really hope that they will want to work with the community and help in this effort.
8:57, Kevin Schmelzlin, part of the Shelton to the Top group. He wants folks to take pride in the city, and we thank him for coming in and talking with us about this. Again, if Mayor Krantz would like to come in tomorrow, we have our traditional Focus on Shelton segment every Thursday at 8:45 to talk about issues regarding the city. That is open, and would welcome him there. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
It is time now for us to start stepping aside. Tom Hartman coming up after 9 o'clock, and we will be back tomorrow morning for Thursday's Daybreak right here on iFIBER ONE News Radio.